Chapter 24. The moment Nietion's words left his mouth, the entire place fell deathly silent. Even the sound of breathing could not be heard. Everyone's gazes were focused on Nietion. Everyone's expression seemed to be saying, "Are you mad?" A level 9 level essence meridian martial artist challenging a level 4 level essence spirit martial artist, and still need to beat the other party down within 3 moves. Only a lunatic would say such words. Niewen was stunned too. He stared at Nietion speechlessly for a long time, but he was already crying for his parents in his heart. Nietion, oh Nietion, you're really my little ancestor. Just what are you trying to do? Challenging a level 4 level essence spirit realm with strength at the level 9 level essence meridian. Aren't you sending him to slap his face? But Niesanton was very pleased with himself. The corners of his mouth curled up unconsciously as he laughed coldly in his heart. Nietion, calling you a fool, you're really dumb to the max. A mere level 9 level essence meridian trash actually wants to challenge a level 4 level essence spirit martial artist. Saying that you're not a fool. I won't believe it even if you beat me to death. Ha ha ha. After some time, Bustling erupted into hysterical laughter. Nietion, you said it yourself. This young master didn't force you. If this young master doesn't beat you into a dog today, I'll write the character Bob backwards. Ah, the Nye family's family head is indeed trash. Not only is he trash, he's also a fool. To actually challenge our family's second young master simply doesn't know how the word death is written. Exactly. Nietion challenging our second young master is simply putting a broadsword on a mouse's head, having the intention of beating a cat. Huh, just wait and watch the show. Second young master can definitely beat Nietion until even this old mother can't recognize him. The Ba family martial artists roared with laughter, laughing until they could barely stand straight. Nietion, are you mad? At this time, Mo Rushi also walked over, looking at Nietion in shock. Nietion glanced at Mo Rushi and said indifferently, "Rushi, watch from the side. Today, I'll teach you a good lesson. I'll let you know that no matter who you face, as long as you're fearless, you'll have a chance of winning." Nietion, you lunatic, idiot. How could Mo Rushi be willing to listen to Nietion's words? Mo Rushi suddenly turned around and said to Mo Tai, "Father, quickly stop Nietion. Don't let him fight with Bustling." However, Mo Tai had a calm expression. He said indifferently, "It is a fair fight between them. As long as both sides are willing, even I, the city lord, have no right to interfere." Indeed, Mo Tai did not have the authority to interfere with normal challenges between cultivators. However, he wanted to see just how strong Nietion was. Just now, Mo Rushi had already told him everything. Mo Tai looked at Nietion as though he wanted to see through him. Unfortunately, he couldn't see through him at all. Mo Tai frowned slightly and said in his heart, "Nietion, you said that you can help Rushi awaken her primordial spirit. Rushi also said that you killed a scarlet flame tiger, a cold ice snake king, and even killed 3 origin spirit realm cultivators. This city lord wants to see if you really have this strength." Mo Tai thought it through very clearly. Even though Mo Rushi's words were inconceivable, even a little illusory, he chose to believe that there was only a sliver of hope. Mo Tai's biggest worry in recent years was Mo Rushi's primordial spirit. As long as he could help Mo Rushi awaken her primordial spirit, he was willing to even cripple his own cultivation. This was his fatherly love for Mo Rushi. He was willing to sacrifice everything. If Nietion really defeated Bustling, it would prove that what Mo Rushi said was true. If Nietion lost to Bustling or was killed by Bustling, then Nietion could only be regarded as a joke. Mo Tai had his own plans, and so did Nietion. Challenging Bustling was not an impulsive decision, but a decision made after careful consideration. If he wanted to solve the Nye family's predicament, he had to borrow Mo Tai's strength. And if he wanted Mo Tai to believe that he had the strength to help Mo Rushi awaken her primordial spirit, he had to first prove himself Defeating Ba Ziliang would be the best opportunity for Nie Tian to prove himself. Everyone move aside. Nie Tian took a step forward. His aura was very imposing. Ba Wooly waved his hand at the Ba family members behind him, and the Ba family martial artists all retreated, leaving enough space for the fight. Ziliang, don't hold back. Kill him in one strike. Ba Wooly directly said to Ba Ziliang, not afraid of the Nie family. Father, don't worry. If Nie Tian can still breathe in 3 moves, then my surname is not Ba. Ba Ziliang's eyes were fierce, and his voice was hoarse. Humph. Nie Tian smiled indifferently and said mockingly, Ba Ziliang, looks like your surname is not Ba in the future. Nie Tian, you're about to die, but you still dare to be so stubborn. Prepare to die. Ba Ziliang was already impatient. After everyone retreated, he could no longer wait, and with a loud shout, he directly attacked. Blazing fire palm. Ba Ziliang violently struck out with his palm, and dazzling flames actually appeared in the air. Facing Ba Ziliang's powerful attack, Nie Tian did not even frown, and his feet did not move at all. He suddenly raised his arm and punched out. It was the Divine War Emperor fist again. Pa! The fist and palm collided, and a crisp sound like metal colliding with stone rang out. Everyone held their breath, and most of them had already imagined the scene of Nie Tian being sent flying by that palm in their minds. The next moment, what surprised everyone was that both Nie Tian and Ba Ziliang actually retreated at the same time. Nie Tian retreated 5 steps, and Ba Ziliang retreated 3. Nie Tian stabilized his body, and with a faint smile, he said in his heart, a 4th-level origin spirit martial artist indeed has extraordinary strength. Even though I've awakened the power of 2 stars, I'm still slightly inferior in terms of absolute strength. The current Nie Tian had already awakened the power of 2 stars, adding on the power of 9 essence meridians, as well as the augmentation of the Divine War Emperor fist. The power of 1 punch definitely exceeded 10,000 Jin. But even so, his strength was still weaker than Ba Ziliang's. After all, Ba Ziliang was a 4th-level origin spirit martial artist. The increase of awakening the origin spirit was simply a qualitative leap to martial artists. This, impossible. Ba Ziliang stabilized his body. Even though he had gained the upper hand in the first exchange, what appeared on his face was not delight, but immense shock. Nie Tian actually blocked his palm head-on. This was simply impossible. Nie Tian merely had the strength of a mere 9th-level origin meridian. How could he possibly block the attack of a 4th-level origin spirit martial artist? Too bizarre. Too inconceivable. This simply surpassed everyone's understanding. Ba Ziliang was not the only one who was shocked. Everyone had their eyes wide open, looking at the scene in front of them as if they were dreaming. Oh my God, he really has the strength to fight against Ba Ziliang. Nie Wenyuan was the first to react, and he immediately cried out. The others looked as if they had seen a ghost, and they were about to go crazy. Impossible. This is impossible. Ziliang definitely did not use his full strength. Ba Wooly was also stunned, and he said in a daze, Nie Tian, why will you really have the strength to fight against Ba Ziliang? Nie Santong was also stunned, and his entire body started to tremble. The more terrifying the strength Nie Tian displayed, the more afraid he was. Only Mo Tai's reaction was still considered normal. A hint of a smile appeared on the corner of his mouth, and he thought in his heart, Nie Tian, looks like what Rushi said is true. Nie Tian, Mo Rushi also recovered from the shock. Her small mouth opened, but she was unable to say anything else. Suddenly, she seemed to have realized something, and she reproached in her heart, Mo Rushi, why are you worrying for this shameless person? He is so bad, always taking advantage of you. Thinking like this, Mo Rushi's small face indescribably turned red. The battle between Nie Tian and Ba Ziliang continued. Nie Tian looked at Ba Ziliang and said faintly, Ba Ziliang, this is the first move. You still have 2 more moves, and after 2 moves, your surname will not be Ba anymore. Arrogant. Ba Ziliang calmed down, and with a roar, a long sword that was surging with flames appeared behind him. This was his primordial spirit, blazing flame sword. Among the three types of primordial spirits, weapon spirits were the ones with the strongest attack, and sword spirits were the most terrifying existence among weapon spirits. The sword was the head of all weapons. One could well imagine how powerful it was. It is actually the sword spirit with the strongest attack. No wonder you are so arrogant. Nie Tian looked at the blazing flame sword behind Ba Ziliang and slightly wrinkled his brows. Nie Tian, you are not too stupid to be able to die under my blazing flame sword. It is your blessing. Ba Ziliang revealed the blazing flame sword origin spirit, and he was already confident in his heart. In his eyes, Nie Tian was already a dead man. But the next moment, Nie Tian smiled and said, "A mere rank 4 primordial spirit also wants to kill me. Overestimating yourself. I want to ask you, where does your confidence come from?" Nie Tian could tell at a glance that Ba Ziliang's blazing flame sword origin spirit was a rank 4 primordial spirit. Most martial artists could only awaken rank 1 to 3 primordial spirits. Awakening a rank 4 primordial spirit, Ba Ziliang could be considered a genius. Nie Tian smiled lightly in his heart. It seems that Ba Ziliang has some strength. If I want to defeat him, I must bring out some real skills. Death is at hand, and you still dare to talk big, courting death. Ba Ziliang was enraged once again, and with a roar he stabbed out with his sword, blazing flame sky. The blazing flame sword rushed out, and an astonishing pillar of fire appeared, directly attacking Nie Tian. Nie Tian was not afraid in the face of danger, and a broken sword actually appeared in his hand. This broken sword was his previous sword, sword in heaven slash. "Old friend, I'm depending on you." Nie Tian smiled indifferently, and sword end heaven slash pierced out. This time, he still used the move of the 9 extreme War God art. War God, descending heaven. The power of stars combined with War God, descending heaven. Sword end heaven slashes sword light won a great victory, and a terrifying sword light gushed out. Bang! The pillar of fire and the sword light clashed together, and dazzling sparks, like an explosion, turned into a formless wave in the air and surged out. The surrounding people retreated a few steps, and their faces were filled with shock. The second move, both sides fought to a draw. Once again, the entire place fell into dead silence. The first move slightly lost to Ba Ziliang. The second move tied with Ba Ziliang. Then wouldn't the third move be? The most terrifying thing was that Nie Tian's attack directly broke everyone's understanding of martial arts. Everyone thought that it was impossible for an Essence Meridian martial artist to attack from the air. But what about Nie Tian? Not only did he attack from the air, he even exploded with an astonishing sword light. This was simply like seeing a living ghost. Could it be that Nie Tian was a monster? The reason why Nie Tian was able to fight to a draw with Ba Ziliang with this move was not because his strength was above Ba Ziliang's, but because his comprehension of sword arts was far above Ba Ziliang's. In his previous life, Nie Tian was an expert at the pinnacle of sword arts, and it was unknown how many famous swordsmen had died under sword and heaven slash. When Ba Ziliang fought with him, it was simply like a small loach fighting with a dragon. It was too weak. Chapter 25. Nie Tian, do you really think you can defeat me? Ba Ziliang came to his senses, his eyes emitting a sinister light. His throat became hoarse as he said, Nie Tian, you forced me to do this. Nie Tian frowned slightly. Could it be that Ba Ziliang still had a trump card? But it was no longer important whether Ba Ziliang had a trump card or not, because Nie Tian's next move was not something that Ba Ziliang could withstand. Nie Tian, prepare to die. Ba Ziliang roared again and again. Crimson flames rose from his body, making him feel like he was bathing in fire. Ba Ziliang's aura suddenly rose by a lot, and his body exuded an even more intense heat. The surrounding people could not bear the heat and retreated again. Nie Tian looked at Ba Ziliang and immediately saw the clues. He murmured, "A move that burns one's own blood chi?" Ba Ziliang, You're really ruthless. Nietion's guess was right. Ba Zilliang's rising aura was caused by burning his own blood chi. Blood chi was equivalent to a martial artist's life force. Ba Zilliang burning his own blood chi was a completely risking his life to fight. Even if he could defeat Nietion, he would inevitably pay a heavy price. Looks like I have no choice but to use that move. Nietion sighed softly. He did not know what the consequences would be if he used that move. At this moment, the atmosphere was extremely tense. Everyone held their breath and did not blink, for fear that they would miss any exciting scenes. The third move was definitely the move that would decide life and death. Nietion, you must hold on. Nie Wenyuan was sweating in his heart. After witnessing Nietion's monstrous strength, he now truly believed that Nietion had a chance of defeating Ba Zilliang. On the other side, Ba Wuli was also drenched in cold sweat. The power that Nietion had displayed was too strange, and it had already exceeded the scope of his understanding. Right now, he was really beginning to doubt the outcome of this battle. Nietion, you must win. Emo Rushi placed her hands on her chest and kept praying. She closed her eyes, not daring to see what would happen next. Emo Tai, on the other hand, had a calm expression. As long as it did not involve Emo Rushi, he would be able to maintain absolute calmness. He was also looking forward to the third move. Nietion, pay the price for your arrogance. Ba Zilliang roared madly, and the flames on his body burned even brighter. In the next moment, he stabbed out with his sword, and the flames on his body erupted, condensing into a flaming sword that stabbed at Nietion. At the moment of life and death, Nietion's expression was calm, and his feet did not move at all. His palms quickly formed a strange seal. In the next moment, a strange scene occurred. The air around Nietion seemed to be a little strange. With each of his hand seals, the entire space seemed to tremble. At this moment, everyone felt like they were hallucinating. The heaven and earth spiritual energy within a radius of tens of meters seemed to be revolving around Nietion. Emo Tai's eyes suddenly became dull, and the shock in his heart could not be any greater. If I'm not wrong, Nietion is mobilizing the surrounding heaven and earth spiritual energy. In the next moment, Nietion's hand seals were completely formed. At this moment, the heaven and earth spiritual energy in the space seemed to be attracted by a mysterious force, and it frantically surged into Nietion's body. This feeling was as if the sky had suddenly collapsed, and everything was tilting towards Nietion. Flowing killing seal. Open, Nietion said calmly, and an unparalleled aura suddenly erupted from his body. Soon after, a giant golden hand seal pressed down on Ba Zilliang. Impossible. This is impossible. Feeling Nietion's terrifying aura, Ba Wuli was speechless. He was not willing to believe what was happening in front of him. Borrowing the heaven and earth spiritual energy. Emo Tai and Nie Wenyuan's voices rang out at almost the same time. Only the two of them were all creation cultivators, and only they could see how Nietion had unleashed such a powerful aura. Nietion's strength was not as strong as Ba Zilliang, but he had borrowed the heaven and earth spiritual energy from the surrounding space and merged it into his Yuan meridians. This was the only way for Nietion to unleash such a shocking move. Boom! The giant golden hand seal directly shattered the fire sword and smashed onto Ba Zilliang's body, sending him flying. After flying for more than 10 meters in the air, he crashed heavily onto the ground. At the same time, Nietion's body trembled, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. Nie Wenyuan quickly stepped forward and supported Nietion. What Nietion had just used was the technique that made him famous in his previous life, the flowing killing seal of the three seals of the Divine God of War. The three seals of the Divine God of War, the flowing killing seal, the Annihilation Earth seal, and the Annihilation Heavenly seal. In his previous life, Nietion had killed God knows how many natural enemies by relying on the three seals of the Divine God of War. The current him was using the three seals of the Divine God of War against a fourth-level origin spirit little trash. Thinking about it, it was really laughable. Nietion's current strength was too weak. If he did not borrow the heaven and earth spiritual energy, there was no way he could unleash the flowing killing seal. Although he had barely managed to unleash the flowing killing seal, its power was not even a millionth of Nyetian at his peak. Even so, this extremely crippled flowing killing seal was enough to make Ba Ziliang suffer. Family head, are you alright? Nie Wenyuan supported his inner heaven and channeled a powerful surge of essence energy into Nie Tian's body, causing his expression to immediately ease up. Forcefully using the flowing killing seal made Nie Tian extremely weak. Nie Tian smiled faintly and pointed at Ba Ziliang, saying, "I'm fine. I'm much stronger than that Ba clan's second young master, whose surname isn't Ba." Nie Tian's words elicited a wave of laughter from the surroundings. Ziliang. Ba Wuli finally reacted at this moment. With a wail, he pounced on Ba Ziliang. "Dad!" Ba Ziliang was covered in blood, but he was still alive. He called out weakly, "Dad's here, Dad's here." Ba Wuli was extremely agitated as he hurriedly channeled essence energy into Ba Ziliang. After a long while, a hint of color gradually appeared on Ba Ziliang's pale face. "Not dead. The Ba clan's second young master is really lucky." Nie Tian shook his head slightly. He was truly ashamed that his flowing killing seal could not even kill a fourth-level origin spirit trash. "Nie Tian, I'll kill you." Ba Wuli passed Ba Ziliang to Ba Warren and turned around abruptly. His venomous eyes stared at Nie Tian as his aura erupted. "Family head Ba, do you take I as a decoration?" Nie Wenyuan took a step forward and protected Nie Tian. Looking at Ba Wuli, he smiled cold. As long as Ba Wuli dared to make a move against Nie Tian, Nie Wenyuan would definitely kill him. Nie Tian was the hope of the Nie clan's rise. Whoever dared to touch Nie Tian, Nie Wenyuan would fight them to the death. At this moment, the Ba clan's martial artists took another step forward. Instantly, the atmosphere became tense again. Ba Wuli was already in a state of near insanity. He might really go all out against the Nie clan. Although the Nie clan had Nie Wenyuan, they did not have as many origin spirit realm martial artists as the Ba clan. Furthermore, there was a variable like Nie Santong. Therefore, if they really went all out, the Nie clan would definitely be at a disadvantage. Cough, cough. Nie Tian coughed dryly at this moment. He looked at Emotai and said lightly, "City Lord, the two great clans of Moyang City are about to go all out. As the City Lord, how can you bear to see this happen?" Emotai was no fool. Of course, he understood Nie Tian's meaning. He took a step forward and stood between Ba Wuli and Nie Wenyuan. With a warm smile on his face, he said, "Please don't be rash. The Nie clan and the Ba clan are both great clans of Moyang City. Why can't we sit down and discuss this peacefully? Why must we fight and kill each other? Wouldn't this be a joke to the citizens of Moyang City? Listen to this city lord's advice. No one should fight. Let's discuss this peacefully and slowly solve this problem." Emotai was indeed worthy of being the city lord. His words were beautifully spoken. However, Nie Tian knew that if it weren't for Emo Rushi, Emotai would not have bothered to interfere in the affairs of the two clans. Both the Nie clan and the Ba clan were threats to the Mo clan. If the two clans were to go all out, the Mo clan would benefit the most. "City Lord, what is the meaning of this? Are you going to protect the Nie clan as well?" Ba Wuli was also anxious. He actually had the intention to reprimand Emotai. Emotai's expression darkened. "Cold," he said, "Clan Lord Ba, are you questioning this city lord's intentions? As the city lord of Moyang City, I should maintain the stability of the city. Your two clans are going all out. Do you want this city lord to just stand by and watch?" Ba Wuli could tell that Emotai was a little angry. He immediately calmed down and said, "City lord, I was too impatient and acted rashly. Please forgive me." The Ba clan and the Nie clan were irreconcilable enemies. Offending Emotai at this time was no different from seeking death. "Seeing that you love your son, this city lord will not pursue this matter," Emotai said cold. Ba Wuli wiped away the cold sweat on his forehead. He then glared at Nie Tian and said, "Nie Tian, you crippled my eldest son, Ba Zhang. Now, you even injure my second son, Ba Ziliang. If I don't get my revenge, I Ba Wuli am not a man. Yo, not a man. You're making it sound like you're a man. Nye Tian mocked. Ba Ziang was crippled by me, yes. However, that was also because you provoked me first. As for Ba Ziliang, you also saw it. It was a fair duel between us. Life and death is up to fate. Also, your Ba clan has been bullying Nye clan for 3 years, and during that time, you've even annexed many of Nye clan's businesses. As a clan lord of Nye clan, it's not too much for me to help Nye clan collect some interest, right? Nye Tian's words almost made Ba Wuli vomit blood. Seeing that Ba Wuli was enraged, the corner of Nye Tian's mouth curled into a cold smile. He took out some gold coins and said, all right. Patriarch Ba, please don't be angry. Crippling Ba Ziang was something I did on impulse. Take these 10 gold coins as compensation for his loss. It's not a lot, but Clan Lord Ba, please don't think it's too little. Saying that, Nye Tian handed over the 10 gold coins to Ba Wuli. Nye Tian, you're going too far? Ba Wuli was completely enraged. His face was completely red. Going too far? Nye Tianling laughed. He didn't want to test Ba Wuli's patience anymore. Instead, he said solemnly, Clan Lord Ba, I want to ask you. When Ba Ziang beat me until I fainted, why didn't you say that you're going too far? When Ba clan came to Nye clan to force a marriage, why didn't you say that you're going too far? When Ba clan annexed Nye clan's assets, why didn't you say that you're going too far? Clan Lord Ba, in my opinion, the one who is going too far is your Ba clan. At the end of his words, Nye Tian couldn't help but roar. Ba Wuli glared at Nye Tian with bloodshot eyes, but he couldn't say anything for a long time. Chapter 26. Ba Wuli stood where he was, his entire body trembling, panting heavily like an enraged beast, but he did not dare to resist. He could already tell that Mo Tai was on the Nye family's side. If he were to fight with the Nye family now, Mo Tai would definitely not agree, and might even help the Nye family. After a long time, Ba Wuli suddenly raised his head and stared cold at Nye Tian. He said in his heart, Son of a B****, you may not know who I am, but my identity is not something you can afford to offend. 3 years ago, I killed your father, and 3 years later, I can still kill you. Offending the Bloodbat sect, the Nye family's path has come to an end. Bloodbat sect. If he heard this name, Nye Tian would definitely jump up in anger. He could definitely guess that the Bloodbat sect was the organization behind the men in black with the Bloodbat tattoo on their wrists. But Nye Tian would never imagine that the Ba family's patriarch, Ba Wuli, was actually from the Bloodbat sect. Without a doubt, the Nye family's massacre 3 years ago was directly related to Ba Wuli. Patriarch Ba, are you still not willing to leave? If you don't leave now, I will have to chase you out. Nye Tian glanced at Ba Wuli and said cold. Ba Wuli glanced at the dying Ba Ziliang, then at Mo Tai and Nye Wenyuan. Even though he was furious, he did not dare to attack Nye Tian. Let's go. Ba Wuli roared and suddenly turned around. I won't send you off. Nye Tian smiled lightly. Wait. At this moment, Ba Ziliang suddenly stood up and stared at Nye Tian with a pair of vicious eyes. He squeezed the words out of his teeth. Nye Tian, 15 days later, at Muang City's martial gathering, I will fight to the death with you. As you wish, young Master Ba. Nye Tian emphasized the word Ba, showing his disdain. Nye Tian did not take Ba Ziliang's threat to heart. In 15 days, Nye Tian had absolute confidence that he would be able to awaken his true spirit, as well as the power of the stars. Therefore, unless Ba Ziliang could break through to the manifestation realm within 15 days, there was no way he could pose a threat to Nye Tian. Sadly, Ba Ziliang was currently merely at the 4th level essence spirit realm. Breaking through to the myriad phenomenon realm in 15 days, even Nye Tian could not do it. The people of the Ba clan left as quickly as they came. In the blink of an eye, everyone had left. The people of the Nye family were practically boiling with excitement. Everyone was jumping up and down in excitement, almost worshipping Nye Tian as their savior. Nye Tian did not have much of a reaction. Slowly, he shifted his gaze to Mo Tai. Mo Tai also looked at Nye Tian. He laughed heartily and said, Nephew Nietion, your performance today has really broadened my horizons. Looks like you've been hiding your abilities for the past 3 years. After not flying for 3 years, he soared to the sky in one go. After not making a sound for 3 years, he shocked the world with a single brilliant feat. I'm in awe. Are you really in awe? Nietion smiled playfully. He suddenly shifted his gaze above his head and looked at the blank plaque above the Nye family's door. He said, why is my Nye family's plaque gone? Upon hearing Nietion's words, Nye Yuan was taken aback. He hastily pulled Nietion aside and said in a low voice, Clan Master, the city lord accidentally broke the signboard. Just order someone to replace it later. Emotai had just helped the Nye family chase away the Ba clan. Now, Nietion actually wanted to denounce him for the matter of the plaque. This was too arrogant. The plaque was destroyed by the city lord. Nietion did not care in the slightest as he spoke loudly. His gaze towards Emotai turned cold. Nye Yuan sensed that something was wrong with Nietion's aura. His face immediately paled as he complained in his heart. Nietion, my little ancestor, you just chased away the wolf, and now you want to poke the tigers, but what are you trying to do? The people of the Nye family also sensed that Nietion was denouncing Emotai. Their hearts instantly jumped to their throats. Emotai, the city lord of Moyang City, was an existence that had absolute authority in Moyang City. Even if he destroyed the plaque of the Nye family could not denounce him. They could not even blame him. Unfortunately, the patriarch of the Nietion family was Nietion. Nietion would definitely not remain silent after being slapped in the face. From a certain perspective, the plaque represented the dignity of a family. How could they remain silent when their dignity was trampled on? Emotai's expression immediately turned gloomy after being denounced by Nietion on the spot. He looked towards Nietion, as if trying to find a trace of cowardice in Nietion's eyes. Unfortunately, there was no fear in Nietion's eyes, only extreme determination. Emotai's expression became even more gloomy, and it was practically dripping water. He was incomparably shocked. Nietion is only at the 9th level of the Origin Meridian realm. Why is his gaze so resolute? Under my pressure, not only did he not yield, but he is also full of arrogance. To be able to display such an unyielding character under such circumstances. Such a state of mind cannot be possessed by someone without great determination. If this child grows up, his future achievements will be limitless. Emotai endured silently, like a beast that was suppressing its anger, ready to explode in the next moment. Seeing this scene, Nye Yuan even had the thought of strangling Nietion to death. Offending the Ba family was not fatal to the Nye family, but if they offended the city lord, how would the Nye family have a foothold in Moyang City in the future? Emo Rushi's face was also pale from fright. She wanted to speak, but did not know what to say. Just when everyone thought that Emotai was going to explode, he suddenly laughed. He really laughed. Although it was a forced laugh, and it was a very ugly laugh, it was indeed a laugh. Patriarch Nye, the Nye family's plaque was indeed destroyed by me. I was really worried about my daughter's safety, and I acted on impulse. I hope Patriarch Nye can forgive me, Emotai said, and actually cupped his hands towards Nietion, expressing his apology. Everyone was stunned by the scene before them. It was as if space had frozen in an instant. Emotai, the city lord of Moyang City, the strongest existence in Moyang City. He actually apologized to Nietion. Oh my God, did the sun rise from the northwest today? Seeing that Emotai had already admitted defeat, the corner of Nietion's mouth curled into a smile, and he said indifferently, City Lord, since you have done something wrong, you have to change. I, Nietion, am not an unreasonable person. How about this? Tomorrow morning, City Lord, please personally hang up the Nye family's new plaque. This request is not too much, is it? Nietion purposely emphasized the word personally, implying that Emotai must personally hang up the plaque. What made everyone speechless was that Nietion even said this request was not too much. Was it? One had to admit, this request was indeed too much. Hanging a plaque on the door was usually done by servants. How could a dignified city lord hang a plaque for someone else? The moment Nyetian's words left his mouth, Nye Wenyuan's face, which had just softened a little, stiffened again. Nye Wenyuan originally thought that Nyetian was just young and impetuous and wanted to earn some face for the Nye family. In that case, since Emo Tai had apologized, he had earned enough face for himself. Who would have thought that not only did Nyetian want Emo Tai to apologize, but he also wanted Emo Tai to personally hang up the plaque. This was simply a slap to Emo Tai's face. That's right, Nyetian wanted to slap Emo Tai's face. Emo Tai destroying the Nye family's plaque was equivalent to slapping the Nye family's face. A slap to the Nye family's face wasn't too much. In fact, Nyetian was already exceptionally magnanimous by doing this. If it wasn't for Emo Rushi, just the fact that Emo Tai destroyed the Nye family's plaque was enough for him to die 100 times. The atmosphere at the scene once again became extremely stifling. The veins on Emo Tai's forehead bulged, and his breathing became much heavier. Evidently, he was restraining the anger in his heart. Emo Tai really didn't expect Nyetian to be so overbearing. If it wasn't for Emo Rushi, he would have already torn Nyetian into pieces. At this moment, Emo Tai only felt a dull fire pressing down on his chest, about to ignite his entire body. If he didn't have the slightest bit of rationality left, Emo Tai would have gone berserk. Cough, cough. Seeing that Emo Tai was painfully suppressing his anger, Nye Wenyuan hurriedly took a step forward and said with a smile, "City Lord, our patriarch is just joking. Our Nye family will make a new plaque and hang it up ourselves. There's no need for City Lord to worry." No. Without waiting for Nye Wenyuan to finish, Nyetian directly said, "City Lord, since you've already admitted that you've done wrong, why aren't you willing to admit your mistake and change? Furthermore, Lady Rushi is also here. As a father, can't you set a good example for her?" Nyetian was speaking to Emo Tai with the attitude of a superior, and this made Emo Tai unable to tolerate it. That's right. Emo Rushi's primordial spirit is in danger, and there doesn't seem to be much time left. If City Lord isn't willing to change your mistake, then forget it. I, Nyetian, am a magnanimous person and won't fuss over it. City Lord, please return. This patriarch is tired, so I won't send you off." Emo Tai's face and neck turned red, but Nyetian had a calm expression on his face. As he spoke, he stretched his body comfortably. After speaking, Nyetian was about to turn around and leave. Wait! Just as Nyetian turned around, a complicated light shot out from Emo Tai's eyes. He suddenly raised his head and said, "I'll change my mistake. I'll compensate you with a signboard, and I'll personally hang it up for the Nye family." Nyetian had expected this long ago. He slowly turned around and chuckled. "I knew that City Lord is a smart person. Wouldn't it have been fine if you said so earlier?" Emo Rushi was simply Emo Tai's greatest weakness. As long as he controlled Emo Rushi, he would be able to completely control Emo Tai. Emo Tai's face turned red and said, "Then about Rushi? Don't worry. Leave Emo Rushi's matter to me." Nyetian said as he raised his head and looked at the full moon in the night sky. After a long time, the corner of Nyetian's mouth curled up slightly as he muttered, "The moon is already in the middle of the sky. The timing is just right." After playing with Emo Tai for so long, Nyetian was actually waiting for the time to come. Emo Rushi's primordial spirit was the Nine Heavens divine phoenix, which was an extremely fierce and extreme young primordial spirit. The best time to awaken was during the dawn when the moon was at its peak. When the moon was at its peak, the divine phoenix eel would be suppressed to a certain extent, and the chances of awakening would be much higher. Family head Nya, I wonder when you will. After a short moment, Emo Tai calmed down a lot. Thinking about the matter of Emo Rushi's primordial spirit awakening, his attitude towards Nyetian immediately eased up a lot. Now, without waiting for Emo Tai to finish speaking, Nyetian directly said to Nye Wenyuan, "Great Elder, I still have some matters that I need to deal with at the City Lord's residence. You all can return first. Niao Wenyuan subconsciously took a look at Emotai and said, "But family head, your injuries." Niao Wenyuan said that he was worried about Nie Tian's injuries, but in reality, he was afraid that Emotai would harm Nie Tian. Right now, if anyone dared to harm Nie Tian, Niao Wenyuan would definitely fight with his life, even if the other party was the city lord. "Don't worry, I am fine. With the city lord around, I will definitely be safe. Right, city lord?" Nie Tian smiled faintly and looked at Emotai playfully. "Mr. Nie, please be at ease. I will definitely send family head Nie back in one piece." Emotai was not an idiot. He naturally understood what Nie Wenyuan meant and immediately guaranteed. Then, "Family head, please be careful." Nie Wenyuan nodded. It was not convenient for him to stop Nie Wenyuan anymore. Chapter 27. Moyang City, Ba Clan Meeting Hall. Ba Wooly sat on the main seat, his body trembling like an angry lion, yet unable to find a target to vent his anger on. What a Nie clan! What a Nie Tian! Hateful! Worthy of death! Ba Wooly roared furiously, his voice low and deep. Anyone could hear the ruthlessness in it. In the hall, everyone from the Ba clan held their breath. No one dared to make a sound, much less answer Ba Wooly's words. "Father." After a long time, Ba Ziliang finally spoke, and he gnashed his teeth in hatred as he said, "Don't worry, in half a month, I'll surely defeat Nie Tian in the martial meet of Moyang City. I'll torture and kill him in front of everyone in Moyang City." "Good. As expected of my Ba Wooly's son." Ba Wooly saw that Ba Ziliang was fine, and he finally had a smile on his face. Ba Ziyang heavily injured Nie Tian, and the Ba clan came to force the marriage. This was Ba Wooly's plan to thoroughly suppress the Nie clan. But Ba Wooly never imagined that the Nie clan's useless clan head would suddenly rise. First, he forcefully retaliated against the Ba clan's forced marriage, then crippled Ba Ziyang. And the most unacceptable thing was that Nie Tian had actually defeated Ba Ziliang, who was at the 4th level of the Origin Spirit Realm, with a mere cultivation at the 9th level of the Origin Vein Realm. Everything was too strange. Even now, Ba Wooly still felt that it was unreal. "Nie Tian, 3 years ago, you beat my son Xing into a retard. And now, you beat my son Yang into a cripple. If I don't avenge this, I'm not a father." Ba Wooly thought of Nie Tian and was filled with hatred. But the next moment, his face revealed a sinister smile. "Nie Tian, you're really tough. 3 years ago, even the Bloodbat sect couldn't kill you. But you definitely wouldn't have guessed that the Nie clan's tragedy was planned by me. Your father's death, your clansman's death, it was all my doing. Going against my Ba clan, you're courting death." Nie Tian would never have guessed that the culprit behind the tragedy that befell the Nie family 3 years ago was none other than Ba Wooly. Ba Wooly was a citizen of Moyang City in name, but he had another identity behind scenes. He was the Vice Altar Master of the 36th Division of the Bloodbat sect. The Bloodbat sect was a notorious dark organization in the Blue Cloud Empire. Moyang City was only a third-rate city in the Blue Cloud Empire. Compared to the Bloodbat sect, it was not even worth mentioning. And Ba Wooly was the Vice Altar Master of the 36th Division of the Bloodbat Gate. Ba Wooly could only be considered an insignificant figure in the Bloodbat sect. He did not have much power in his hands. Otherwise, he would have used the power of the Bloodbat sect to swallow up Moyang City. 3 years ago, when Nie Tian and his father were ambushed in the shattering Cloud Mountain Range, it was Ba Wooly's plan. He just didn't take action directly. The reason why Ba Wooly made a move against the Nie family was because Nie Tian had shown too brightly 3 years ago. Ba Wooly felt that if Nie Tian continued to grow, Moyang City would not have a place for the Ba family in the near future. Moreover, Nie Tian had beaten the Ba family's third young master, Ba Zixing, into a fool during the Moyang City martial meet, which made Ba Wooly even angrier. Hence, the tragedy of a Nie family being ambushed by the men in black at the shattering Cloud Mountain Range. After that incident, the Nie family was greatly weakened and could no longer compete with the Ba family. Now that the triennial Moyang City martial meet was about to begin, Ba Wooly wanted to swallow up the Nie family before the martial meet. Hence, The farce of Ba Ziyang severely injuring Nietian and forcing him to marry Nietian. Unfortunately, the final result of this farce was that Nietian returned a resounding slap to the Ba family. Father, don't worry, as long as the altar master arrives, not to mention Emir Nief family, even the entire Moyang city will become our Ba family's property. Suddenly, Ba Ziliang spoke in a sinister tone. Ba Wuli's eyes shone brightly as he asked, Ziliang, will the altar master really come personally? He will definitely come. Ba Ziliang nodded heavily and said, not only will the altar master come, but all the experts of the 36th branch will also come. This is the agreement between me and the altar master. He will help us take down Moyang City, and I will represent the branch to enter the royal city. Ba Ziliang went out to train for a year. In this year, he did not go anywhere else but to the 36th branch of the Bloodbat sect, and he was doing quite well, receiving the appreciation of the branch's altar master. That was why he could advance from the first level of the Origin Spirit Realm to the fourth level of the Origin Spirit Realm within a year. Ziliang, are you really going to enter the Bloodbat sect headquarters? Ba Wuli's expression stiffened as he asked. He himself was a member of the Bloodbat sect, and knew how cruel the Bloodbat sect's headquarters was. Once Ba Ziliang entered the Bloodbat sect's headquarters, he would probably never be able to return to Moyang City in this lifetime. Father, I've thought it through. Ba Ziliang nodded fiercely. Good. Ba Wuli was slightly dazed as he said, since you've made up your mind, then Father will respect your decision. Ba Ziliang nodded, and suddenly thought of something as he said, Father, the Bloodbat sect's frontline brothers will appear in a few days. Go and welcome them when the time comes. I'm going into seclusion to train. I must break through to the 5th level of the Origin Spirit Realm in 15 days' time. All right, rest assured and go into seclusion. Father will welcome the Bloodbat sect's men. Ba Wuli nodded. Ba Ziliang did not delay any longer and left immediately. The Ba clan's men also quickly dispersed, leaving only Ba Wuli alone in the Great Hall. Ba Wuli sat alone in the Great Hall, his expression rather complicated. Ziliang, don't blame Father for being ruthless. For the Ba clan, you must enter the Bloodbat sect's headquarters. Ba Wuli said in his heart. Entering the Bloodbat sect's headquarters was like entering a bigger world on the surface, but the cruelty within was far from what outsiders knew. The Bloodbat sect was in essence an assassin organization. The scattered branches were actually to help the headquarters find talented youths. These youths were recommended by the branches to enter the headquarters and undergo the cruelest assassin training. In the end, those who could complete the Bloodbat sect's assassin training were less than 1 in 100. In other words, the moment Ba Ziliang entered the Bloodbat sect's headquarters, his chances of survival were less than 1 in 100. Ba Wuli knew this fact, but Ba Ziliang did not. Ba Wuli watched as Ba Ziliang entered the Bloodbat sect's headquarters, but he was actually watching as his son jumped into a pit of fire. One had to say, this father of his was really ruthless. A fierce glint flashed in Ba Wuli's eyes as he said coldly, Nye clan, Mo clan, as long as the Bloodbat sect's men arrive, it will be the death of both your clans. But what the Ba clan father and son did not know was that it was impossible for the Bloodbat sect's frontline brothers to appear, because they had been killed by Nye Tian. During the day, the 3 black-robed men that Nye Tian had killed in the canyon were the Bloodbat sect's frontline members. At the same time, Moyang City's city Lord Manor. Patriarch Nya, I'll leave the matter of Rushi's primordial spirit to you. As long as you can help Rushi awaken her primordial spirit, you will be my benefactor. Mo Tai said loudly as he led Nye Tian into the inner courtyard. City Lord Mo, don't worry. Since I've already promised to help Mo Rushi awaken her primordial spirit, I will definitely do it. Nye Tian smiled faintly. Nye Tian was very clear about the hidden meaning in Mo Tai's words. If Nye Tian helped Mo Rushi successfully awaken her primordial spirit, then everything would be fine. But if Nye Tian failed, then Mo Tai would definitely say something else, and the Nye clan would probably suffer calamity. Father, I believe that Nye Tian can help me awaken my primordial spirit. Mo Rushi interrupted with a very serious expression. Nia Tian smiled faintly, while Mo Tai's reaction was indifferent. Mo Tai had to admit that the strength that Nia Tian displayed today far exceeded his expectations. But awakening a primordial spirit was difficult, and Mo Rushi's primordial spirit had not awakened for 2.5 years. Even Mo Tai couldn't figure out the reason behind it. Nia Tian was merely at the 9th level of primordial meridian. Could he really help Mo Rushi awaken her primordial spirit? Mo Tai expressed his doubts. However, Mo Tai had a feeling that he couldn't see through Nia Tian, which was why he was willing to let Nia Tian give it a try. A moment later, the three arrived at the inner courtyard of the mayor's mansion. Nia Tian stopped and said, "All right, City Lord Mo, you can guard outside the courtyard. I will immediately help Mo Rushi awaken her primordial spirit, but it might take some time. During this time, I don't wish to be disturbed by anyone." Mo Tai looked at Nia Tian with an ugly expression. This was the mayor's mansion, and Nia Tian actually made him the mayor's servant. "Father, listen to Nia Tian and guard outside for me. Keep watch outside for me." Mo Rushi didn't think much of it and giggled. "All right." Mo Tai glanced at his daughter and nodded in the end. Nia Tian didn't stand on ceremony and entered the inner courtyard with Mo Rushi, leaving Mo Tai to guard outside. After entering the inner courtyard, Nia Tian quickly formed a seal with his hand. A ball of primordial energy flowed on his fingers and turned into a stream of light that sealed the door of the inner courtyard. "Nia Tian, what are you doing?" Mo Rushi didn't know what Nia Tian was doing and asked curiously. "To prevent unnecessary disturbance." Nia Tian smiled faintly. "Spiritual array." Mo Tai, who was guarding outside the courtyard, was shocked when he saw the chaotic stream of light above the courtyard door. It took him a while to recover, and he said in a daze, "This kid actually knows how to use spiritual array." Nia Tian had used a spiritual array to seal the inner courtyard to prevent Mo Tai or anyone else from disturbing him. Mo Rushi's primordial spirit was very powerful, so Nia Tian had to pay attention to it. "Nia Tian, what should we do next?" Mo Rushi walked to the center of the inner courtyard. Her face was flushed, and she seemed very excited. She hadn't awakened her primordial spirit in the past 2.5 years. Now that there was finally hope, how could she not be excited? "Don't say anything first." Nia Tian looked solemn. Nia Tian walked over and sized up Mo Rushi first. Then he confirmed a few spots under his feet and looked up at the full moon in the sky. He murmured, "Supreme Spirit Awakening Array." "What did you say?" Mo Rushi was stunned. "Nothing." Nia Tian smiled faintly. Mo Rushi's primordial spirit was a rank 9 Supreme Martial Artist primordial spirit, the 9 Heavens Divine Phoenix. It was very difficult to awaken it. Nia Tian wanted to use the Icy Serpent King's spirit core as a spirit awakening catalyst, and then use the Supreme Spirit Awakening Array to awaken the 9 Heavens Divine Phoenix. "Mo Rushi, I will help you awaken your primordial spirit now, but you must do as I say." "Can I?" At this time, Nia Tian's expression suddenly became a little awkward. "Yes." Mo Rushi nodded heavily. She didn't notice that there was something wrong with Nia Tian's expression. Nia Tian nodded and looked at Mo Rushi strangely. He said sternly, "Now, take off all your clothes." Chapter 28. Hearing that Nian wanted her to take off her clothes, Mo Rushi's pupils constricted, and her face was filled with shock. "Nia Tian, you're shameless." Mo Rushi stammered, biting her lip and blushing. Nia Tian already knew that Mo Rushi would have such a reaction, so he explained, "The 9 Heavens Divine Phoenix's origin spirit is too powerful, so I have to use the Supreme Spirit Awakening Array to help you awaken your origin spirit. In the Supreme Spirit Awakening Array, you can't wear clothes if you want to perfectly absorb the array's power. I can't do anything about it." A helpless expression appeared on Nia Tian's face. What he said was true. The Supreme Spirit Awakening Array used an array to gather the energy between heaven and earth to stimulate the awakening of the origin spirit. If Mo Rushi wore clothes, it would be very difficult for the Een energy to enter her body, and the supreme Een Spirit Awakening array would be greatly reduced. Is what you said true? Nietion's face was so serious that Mo Rushi had no choice but to believe him. Recalling the scene when Nietion confirmed the Divine Phoenix seal, Mo Rushi's heart began to waver. But it was really difficult for her to stand completely naked in front of a man. Nietion glanced at Mo Rushi and didn't say anything. He took out a few pieces of frost grass from his storage bag and placed them in the positions that he had previously determined. After placing the frost grass, Nietion circulated his yuan meridians and elemental energy flowed from his fingertips, slowly fusing into the frost grass. In the next moment, a miraculous scene appeared. The frost grass began to release a cold energy that condensed into ice crystals in the air. The ice crystals seemed to have a life of their own as they grew rapidly. In the blink of an eye, countless ice crystal rings were formed, interlocking with each other, and traces of cold energy flowed within. This is the supreme Een Spirit Awakening array. You have to stand in the center of the array to perfectly absorb the array's power. Nietion pointed at the supreme Een Spirit Awakening array. Mo Rushi was stunned by the scene in front of her. This was the first time she had seen a spirit array, and the power that perfectly matched the power of heaven and earth shocked her. All right, I believe you. After struggling for a long time, Mo Rushi finally chose to compromise. The temptation of awakening her primordial spirit was too great for her. Moreover, the strength that Nietion had displayed made her believe in him. There's not much time left. Hurry up. Nietion looked at the full moon in the sky and urged. The lunar spirit awakening formation was most effective when the moon was at its zenith. Once the time passed, the effect would be reduced. After hesitating for a long time, Mo Rushi finally made up her mind and took off her clothes one by one until there was nothing left. Under the lustrous moonlight, Mo Rushi was naked. Her delicate skin was like that of a newborn baby, lustrous and tender. Her perfect curves were enough to make any man's blood boil. Nietion, who was standing at the side, could not help but be stunned. He suddenly felt his mouth go dry, and a certain part of his body was shamelessly reacting. Shameless scoundrel, you're not allowed to look. Mo Rushi's neck turned red. She shouted and stepped into the lunar spirit awakening array. After being yelled at by Mo Rushi, Nietion finally reacted. His face was slightly embarrassed, and he sighed in his heart. Mo Rushi, it's not that my willpower is weak, but you're too beautiful. Mo Rushi entered the lunar spirit awakening array. With the ice crystals blocking her, it was finally a little better. However, the perfect curves in the haze still made one's blood boil. Nietion quickly stabilized his mind and took a deep breath to calm himself down. Mo Rushi, circulate your yuan meridian and sink your energy into your dantian. Concentrate your divine sense and carefully sense the power of the array. Absorb the power of the array and integrate it into your dantian, Nietion said as he took out more frost grass and constantly replenished the lunar spirit awakening array. Mo Rushi closed her eyes, and the cold Een energy flowing in the array slowly integrated into her body. The Divine Phoenix seal was stimulated and suddenly became violet. Mo Rushi screamed from the intense pain of being burned by the raging fire. Hold on, this pain won't last for long. Nietion's voice sounded, encouraging Mo Rushi. Mo Rushi clenched her teeth and held on. She no longer screamed and only moaned slightly. Nietion constantly replenished the frost grass and used his own essence force to maintain the operation of the lunar spirit awakening array. After an unknown period of time, Mo Rushi's body suddenly spewed out scorching flames, as if there was a powerful force that wanted to rush out of her body. Mo Rushi, the most crucial moment is here. The 9 heavens divine phoenix is about to awaken. You must hold on. Nietion was slightly out of breath. Maintaining the lunar spirit awakening array was quite a burden on him. Beads of sweat were already seeping out of his forehead. Nietion took out the Frost Snake King spirit core and took a deep breath. Now, He had to use the power of the stars in the 10th Yuan meridian. The Frost Snake King's spirit core rotated in Nietian's hand. Traces of the power of stars stimulated the power of ice within the spirit core, which turned into waves of cold air and injected into the Lunar Spirit Awakening Array. The Lunar Spirit Awakening Array was stimulated, and the ice crystal ring began to expand. It slowly condensed into a solid block of ice that emitted a cold intent. After a long time, Nietian stimulated the last trace of the power of ice within the Frost Snake King's spirit core. His entire body was about to collapse. He let out a long breath and looked at Mo Rushi, who was in the Lunar Spirit Awakening Array. He murmured, "Mo Rushi, it's up to you now." At this moment, Mo Rushi's entire body was surging with scorching flames, but the strange thing was that the flames did not cause any harm to her body. Mo Rushi's beautiful face was somewhat hideous. Sweat poured down her face like rain, and it was obvious that she was in great pain. Nietian watched calmly from the side. He could no longer provide any help to Mo Rushi. If she wanted to awaken the 9 Heavens Divine Phoenix, this kind of pain was unavoidable. After an unknown period of time, Mo Rushi's body suddenly trembled. The flames around her seemed to have a life of their own, and they instantly condensed into the image of a burning divine phoenix. The 9 Heavens Divine Phoenix is finally awakening. Nietian could not help but feel a little excited. Just as the image of the divine phoenix appeared, the surrounding power of heaven and earth reacted strangely. It was as if all the power was gathering toward Mo Rushi. After a while, the gathered power finally erupted. In the next moment, the image of the divine phoenix suddenly let out a shrill cry, as if it had the power to pierce through the clouds and crack rocks. Immediately afterward, the image of the divine phoenix soared into the sky like a dazzling ray of light, shooting straight into the sky. In the sky, the dazzling flames were like a shooting star, flashing past in a flash. Nietian let out a long breath, and the corners of his mouth curled into a satisfied smile. He took a step forward and embraced the extremely weak Mo Rushi in his arms. "Nietian, has my origin spirit awakened?" Mo Rushi looked at Nietian with difficulty and asked, "It has awakened." Nietian smiled faintly. Hearing this affirmative answer, Mo Rushi's tensed nerves collapsed, and her entire body passed out. Having just awakened the 9 Heavens Divine Phoenix's origin spirit, Mo Rushi was too weak, so she fainted. Nietian helplessly looked at the naked, beautiful girl in his arms, and then looked at the clothes on the ground, and said with an innocent expression, "Mo Rushi, you fainted, and there was nothing I could do, so I could only reluctantly help you put on your clothes." As Nietian spoke, he picked up Mo Rushi's clothes with one hand and clumsily helped her put them on. After a Herculean effort, Nietian finally helped Mo Rushi put on her clothes and then carried her into the room. The next morning, Mo Rushi woke up from her coma and saw Nietian lying on her bed, asleep. "Did he sleep next to me last night?" Mo Rushi murmured, and suddenly there was a warm feeling in her heart. It's better not to wake him up. Mo Rushi carefully got out of bed, but just as she got out of bed, she suddenly felt that something was wrong. Why am I wearing my clothes inside out? Mo Rushi looked at her clothes inside out and suddenly remembered what happened last night. Her pretty face suddenly changed, and she shouted, "Nietian, get up!" Nietian woke up with a blank face. "Mo Rushi, what's wrong? What happened? Did you want me to put on my clothes?" Mo Rushi was as fierce as a tigress, and the anger in her eyes almost burned Nietian. Nietian smiled and said, "You fainted last night, so I helped you put it on. No need to thank me." "Thank you, my asterisk guess." Mo Rushi scolded as she threw a punch at him. "Help! Miss Mo is going to kill me." Nietian shouted exaggeratedly, turned around, and kicked the door open, and ran out. Nietian. Just as Nietian ran out, Mo Tai's figure suddenly appeared, seething with anger. "City Lord Mo, you're up early." Nietian smiled lightly. Mo Tai's face was gloomy, and he roared, "Where's Rushi? Last night, Tai stood guard outside the courtyard. He was afraid of disturbing Rushi's primordial spirit awakening, so he didn't dare to break the spiritual array left by Tian. In the morning, the spiritual array automatically disappeared, and he could enter the inner courtyard. "I'll be out soon," Tian said, and then shouted, Rushi, come out quickly. The city lord is here." "Father, wait a minute, I'll be out soon." Rushi's anxious voice came from the room. Tai suddenly realized something, and his face turned black, staring at Tian. "You were also in Rushi's room last night." Tian was stunned for a moment, and then immediately waved his hand. "City Lord, don't worry. I didn't do anything. I just wanted to ensure Rushi's safety, and I specially guarded her." "Stinking brat. You better not have done anything," Tai said cold. Tian couldn't help rejoicing in his heart. Fortunately, he was able to maintain his composure last night. Otherwise, if he really did that to Rushi, Tai would definitely come after him. "Rushi, did anything happen last night?" When Rushi came out, Tai nervously asked. "No," Rushi replied cold, and then glared at Tian. Tai's expression eased a bit, and he used his divine sense to sense Rushi's body, and said in surprise, "Rushi, your primordial spirit really awakened." Rushi nodded, and a smile finally bloomed on her face. "Quick, release your primordial spirit and let Father see it." Tai seemed even more excited than Rushi, and his mouth was wide open from smiling. Chapter 29. As soon as the 9 Heavens Divine Phoenix appeared, the surrounding temperature immediately rose by quite a bit, and waves of scorching aura spread out. Looking at Rushi's 9 Heavens Divine Phoenix's soul, Tai actually felt a deep tremble, and was so shocked that he couldn't speak for a long time. 9 Heavens Divine Phoenix, a 9th-rank sovereign soul, there was no need to doubt its strength. However, Rushi's current strength was too weak, only at the first level of the Essence Spirit Realm, and the 9 Heavens Divine Phoenix was just a phantom. If she reached the same strength as Tai, just the aura of the soul itself would be something that Tai wouldn't be able to withstand. This was the tyrannical and terrifying strength of a 9th-rank sovereign soul. Although Rushi was only at the first level of the Essence Spirit Realm, because the 9 Heavens Divine Phoenix was too strong, her current battle strength was comparable to a 3rd or even 4th-level Essence Spirit martial artist. After a long time, Tai finally calmed down and asked with a trembling voice, "Rushi, what rank is your soul aptitude?" He said it's 9th rank. Rushi pointed at Tian and said, 9th rank. My God. Tai felt that his heart was about to stop, and he couldn't remain calm anymore. Tian glanced at Tai and said indifferently, "Just a 9th-rank soul? Is it very strong?" "But for a 4th-rank soul like you, a 9th-rank soul is indeed very strong." Although he said it casually, Tian knew that a 9th-rank soul was already in Sovereign Soul, and it was very strong. He just didn't want Rushi to be too arrogant. Judging from Rushi's reaction, she clearly didn't have any concept of a 9th-rank soul. Tai finally reacted and suddenly realized something and said in shock, "Tian, you can tell that my soul is 4th rank." Tian glanced at Tai and said indifferently, "Your soul is a 4th-rank beast spirit, blazing berserk lion, and your strength is at the 3rd level of the Wanxiang realm. Am I right?" A 4th-rank soul could be considered a genius, but it was a pity that in front of Rushi's 9th-rank soul, it wasn't even considered as trash. "How did you know?" Tai's face was even more shocked, and he was a little absent-minded. A martial artist's soul and strength could be considered a martial artist's big secret. Normally, people wouldn't easily find out about it. Tai was unable to comprehend how Tian was able to see through his origin spirit and strength so easily. "If I want to know, I will know." Tian smiled, and his body immediately exuded a domineering confidence. Tai could sense the confidence radiating from Tian. His expression changed several times in an instant. It seemed like he wanted to say something, but he chose to remain silent in the end. Nyetian naturally knew what Emotai was thinking. He was guessing that Nyetian must have had a fortuitous encounter. From a useless family head, he had mysteriously risen to power, defeating a 4th-level Origin Spirit Martial Practitioner with the strength of a 9th-level Origin Meridian Cultivator. He was also able to set up formations at will, help Mo Rushi awaken her primordial spirit, and even easily see through a powerhouse's primordial spirit and strength. Emotai would not believe that Niet Tian did not have any fortuitous encounters. However, Emotai was smart enough not to directly ask Niet Tian about his fortuitous encounter. Every cultivator had their own secrets. Even if Niet Tian had a fortuitous encounter, that was his own business and had nothing to do with others. Luckily, Emotai did not ask. Otherwise, it would have been a waste of time, and it would have made Niet Tian even more wary. Mo Rushi was a little dazed at the side. She was completely unaware of the changes in Emotai and Niet Tian's hearts. Inadvertently, Niet Tian caught a glimpse of Mo Rushi's dazed expression and could not help but smile. Mo Rushi usually had a cold expression, but after a short day of interaction, Niet Tian already knew that she was a little girl who did not understand the ways of the world. It was just that she did not want to be harassed by others, so she purposely pretended to be cold. Niet Tian, what are you laughing at? Mo Rushi looked at Niet Tian in annoyance and pouted in anger. Nothing much. I just feel that Miss Mo is really too beautiful. I just want to laugh when I see you. I really can't control myself. Niet Tian smiled brightly, his eyes filled with seriousness. That's more like it. Women love to be praised, and Mo Rushi was no exception. Hearing Niet Tian's words, she immediately raised her chin proudly. Emotai frowned slightly as he watched from the side. Suddenly, he realized that his daughter had grown up. Fine. Emotai glanced at Niet Tian and sighed softly in his heart. He is also a good young man. He even helped Rushi awaken her primordial spirit. Perhaps this is the fate between them. At this time, Niet Tian suddenly looked at Mo Rushi and said seriously, Mo Rushi, your primordial spirit has just awakened. Don't be in a hurry to cultivate for the next few days. Wait for your primordial spirit to adapt to your body and completely stabilize before you cultivate. After the primordial spirit awakened, there would be a period of adaptation for the primordial spirit to adapt to the body. During this adaptation period, one must not cultivate. Otherwise, it would cause the primordial spirit to reject the body, which would be detrimental to future cultivation. The world did not understand this logic. So many people were too excited after their primordial spirit awakened and desperately cultivated. In the end, it would cause obstacles in their future cultivation. Mo Rushi nodded and smiled sweetly. Are you concerned about me? You can say so. Niet Tian slightly nodded. If you are, then you are. If you aren't, then you aren't. What do you mean by you can say so? Mo Rushi muttered in a low voice, but there was an unconcealable pride on her face. Niet Tian smiled and shook his head. He then said, I still have something to do, so I'll go back first. After saying that, Niet Tian turned around and was about to leave. Mo Rushi was slightly disappointed, but she could not think of a reason to make Niet Tian stay, so she was very conflicted. Niet Tian had just taken 2 steps when he suddenly thought of something. He turned around and said, City Lord Mo, I have something to ask you. Okay, come with me. Emotai was obviously very interested in Niet Tian and readily agreed. Goodbye, little beauty. Niet Tian followed behind Emotai. Before leaving, he did not forget to tease Mo Rushi. A moment later, Emotai and Niet Tian arrived at the main hall of the City Lord Manor. City Lord Mo, you can ask me first. Niet Tian was not in a hurry to ask the question in his heart. He could tell that Emotai had something to ask him, so he said. Emotai hesitated for a moment and said, You and Rushi, there is nothing between us. Without waiting for Emotai to finish his question, Niet Tian directly interrupted him and added, As for whether there will be anything between us in the future, I don't know. Emotai's expression stiffened. Evidently, he did not expect that Niet Tian would give such an answer. Niet Tian looked at Emotai and captured the latter's reaction. The corner of Tion's mouth unconsciously curled up. From Tai's reaction, he had already figured out the latter's attitude. At the very least, Tai would not object to the relationship between him and Rushi. Tai was very curious about Tion. He was very sure that Tion must have had a very shocking, fortuitous encounter. Tion smiled indifferently. Shortly after, his expression became solemn, and he asked, "City Lord Amo, I want to ask you about something." "Speak." Seeing the solemn expression on Tion's face, Tai also became vigilant. Tion said solemnly, "Have you heard of any organization that has a bloodbat tattoo on their wrist?" Bloodbat tattoo? Tion wanted to ask Tai about the bloodbat tattoo. As a city lord, Tai's strength was very strong. He definitely had a lot of knowledge and experience. Bloodbat tattoo. As expected, after hearing Tion's words, Tai's expression suddenly changed. "You know of this organization." Tion couldn't help but feel a little excited. Tai took a deep look at Tion and said gravely, "I indeed know of an organization. Their members all have bloodbat tattoo on their body. However, I want to know, why are you asking about this organization?" "Revenge." Tion's eyes were filled with anger. He did not conceal anything and said, 3 years ago, the person who attacked my father and I in the Splitting Cloud Mountain Range was the person with the bloodbat tattoo on his wrist." "Are you serious?" Tai was startled with fear on his face. "Is this organization very terrifying?" Seeing how nervous Tai was, Tion asked with his brows knitted. Tai was, after all, a city lord. For him to lose his composure like this, one could see how terrifying the Bloodbat sect was. Tai calmed himself down and said with a stern expression, "Tion, listen to my advice. This organization is not something you can provoke. I have no idea why they would appear in the Splitting Cloud Mountain Range, nor do I know why they would kill someone from your Nye family. However, if you want to take revenge, I advise you to give up." "Give up?" Tion clenched his fist and coldly said, "Since ancient times, the hatred of my father's death is absolutely irreconcilable. I don't care how powerful this organization is, nor do I care what it represents. From the moment they killed my father, they were destined to perish." Every word and sentence of Tion was filled with overbearingness, giving people a feeling that he could not be defied. Tai did not know Tion's identity at all, not to mention the 3,000 small worlds. Even in the entire heaven realm, there was absolutely no one strong enough to make Tion give up. "Do you really want to take revenge?" Tai was slightly stunned and said, "Tion, I have to remind you that this organization is very terrifying, far beyond your imagination. For the current you, it is a colossus. Not to mention you. Even I and the royal family of the Blue Cloud Empire cannot afford to offend them." "Is that so?" Tianling sneered. The killing intent in his eyes became even more obvious. He was not afraid of the enemy being too strong, but he was afraid of the enemy being too weak. "City Lord Amo, you don't have to persuade me anymore. Just tell me the name of this organization." Tion had an indifferent expression without any fear. "Bloodbat Sect." After hesitating for a long time, Tai finally said these 3 words. "Bloodbat Sect. Very good, I will remember it." Tianling smiled, his eyes surging with extreme determination. "Tion, I don't care what you want to do next, but please do not involve Rushi in this. If you hurt her, as a father, I will not let you go." Tai looked at Tion and said indifferently. Tion was stunned for a moment, but he quickly regained his composure and said, "This is my own matter. I will not involve Rushi. But as the city lord of Yang City, I am afraid it will be very difficult for you to stay out of this." "What do you mean?" A cold light flashed in Tai's eyes. "The people of the Bloodbat sect have appeared again. I believe Rushi has already told you that I killed 3 Essence Spirit Realm martial artists in the Breaking Cloud Mountain Range." Tion said calmly, "The 3 Essence Spirit Realm martial artists you killed, they were from the Bloodbat sect?" Tai was stunned. unable to conceal the fear in his heart. That's right. Nietian nodded and said, the last time the people of the Bloodbat sect appeared in the breaking Cloud Mountain range, they killed the people of the Nye family. This time they have appeared again. I wonder who they will kill? You understand the Bloodbat sect better, so you should know better than me. City Lord Imo, take care of yourself. After Nietian finished speaking, he no longer cared about Imo Tai's reaction and directly turned to leave. Chapter 30. Is the Bloodbat sect very powerful? On the way back to the Nye residence, Nietian kept thinking about this question. In the end, he suddenly laughed. How powerful could a force from the 3,000 small worlds be? The Bloodbat sect was indeed a powerful existence. At least in the Blue Cloud Empire, it was a peak force. The Moyang city that Nietian resided in was only a third-rate city in the Blue Cloud Empire. From Imo Tai's point of view, the Bloodbat sect was indeed a colossal existence. However, from Nietian's point of view, the Bloodbat sect was an ant-like force that couldn't even be considered as dregs. The Blue Cloud Empire was a third-rate empire under the 3,000 small worlds, and the 3,000 small world were just a small branch of the Sumeru world. The Sumeru world was a lower-level world of the Heaven Realm. With such a comparison, one could imagine just how terrifying the colossus that was the Bloodbat sect was. After returning to the Nye residence, Nietian hurriedly ate his meal and met with Nye Wenyuan to explain the family's affairs. He then ordered people to prepare some things and put them into his storage bag. He then left the Nye residence and headed for the shattering Cloud Mountain range. The reason why Nietian headed for the shattering Cloud Mountain range again was to wait for his prey. He guessed that the 3 Bloodbat sect members he killed yesterday were the scouts of the Bloodbat sect. In the next few days, the Bloodbat sect members would definitely appear in the shattering Cloud Mountain range. He was waiting for the Bloodbat sect members to appear and figure out their purpose for appearing in the shattering Cloud Mountain range. The Moyang City Martial Gathering was about to begin, and the sudden appearance of the Bloodbat sect members, Nietian did not think it was a coincidence. There was another reason why Nietian entered the shattering Cloud Mountain range. He wanted to use the next 10 days to awaken his Yuan spirit. Now that he was already at the 9th level of Yuan meridians, he had all the conditions to awaken his Yuan spirit. If he could not awaken his Yuan spirit in the next period of time, it would be very troublesome if he met an opponent like Ba Ziliang again. Ba Ziliang would definitely take revenge for the martial gathering in Moyang City. Nietian did not want any accidents to happen. Nietian left Moyang City and headed straight for the shattering Cloud Mountain range. As soon as he left Moyang City, a figure dashed out from the city gate and followed him. This figure was none other than Nietian's uncle, the former Grand Deacon of the Nye family, Nye Santong. Nietian, your strength far exceeds my expectations. If I don't kill you, there will be no place for me in the Nye family in the future. Since you dare to leave the Nye clan alone and head for the cloud-splitting mountain range, you're courting death. Don't blame me. Nye Santong laughed sinisterly as he ran. He seemed very excited. For the past 2 days, Nye Santong wished he could close his eyes and imagine the scene of him killing Nietian. He hated Nietian too much. As far as he was concerned, the Nye clan had originally been his. Why had the position of patriarch of the Nye clan changed hands the moment Nietian appeared? If Nietian was still in the Nye clan or Moyang City, Nye Santong would never have had the chance to kill him. But now that Nietian had left Moyang City and was heading for the cloud-splitting mountain range alone, this was a godsend opportunity. How could Nye Santong not be excited? Nietian ran with all his might like a wild horse that had broken free of its reins. He quickly entered the outskirts of the cloud-splitting mountain range. He had already awakened the power of 2 stars in his 10th meridian, and the elemental energy in his body was several times stronger than an ordinary 9th-level elemental meridian martial artist. Moreover, Nietian discovered that apart from increasing his strength, the power of the stars also greatly increased his speed. Even without using any martial skills, Nietian's speed was still much faster than an ordinary martial artist's. But at this moment, Nietian deliberately maintained a speed that was neither fast nor slow. This was because the moment he walked out of the Nye residence, he felt that there was a big tail following him. Nye Santong, I originally wanted to take care of you after the Moyang City Marshal meet. Now that you're the one who can't wait to die, you can't blame me. Nye Tian smiled sinisterly in his heart. He had long known that Nye Santong was following him, but he was not anxious, nor was he afraid. Nye Santong's strength was at the 9th level of the Origin Spirit Realm, an entire realm higher than Nye Tian. If it was a head-on confrontation, Nye Tian would definitely not be his match. But once he entered the cloud-splitting mountain range, then Nye Tian would be able to play with Nye Santong in various ways. Nye Tian's strength was not as good as Nye Santong's, but his mental strength was much higher than Nye Santong's. Other than strength, mental strength was another important cultivation indicator for martial artists. Ordinary martial artists' mental strength was only around the 10th level. Pill masters, weapon refiners, and spirit array masters' mental strength was much higher than ordinary martial artists. Generally speaking, a Tier 1 pill master's mental strength was between the 10th to the 20th level, a Tier 2 pill master's was between the 20th to the 30th level, and so on. A Tier 9 pill master's mental strength could reach the terrifying standard of a 90th to the 100th level. Nye Tian was a Tier 9 pill emperor in his previous life, and his mental strength was close to the peak of 100. After his rebirth, his mental strength had dropped to around the 40th level. Even though it was only the 40th level, it was much higher than ordinary martial artists, and comparable to a Tier 4 pill master. With such a powerful mental strength as a backing, Nye Tian could easily sense Nye Santong's presence. After entering the cloud-splitting mountain range, Nye Tian first confirmed the route and discovered 3 paths. If one wanted to enter Moyang City from the cloud-splitting mountain range, they had to pass through one of these 3 paths. Nye Tian was unable to ascertain which path the bloodbath sex men would take, so he might as well set up sensory spirit arrays at the places where they had to pass through. The sensory spirit array was not a complicated array and was very simple, but it could last for 10 days and was very useful. With the sensory spirit array, no matter which path the bloodbath sex men took to enter Moyang City, Nye Tian would be the first to know. Nye Santong had been following behind Nye Tian. He was very cautious and did not make a move. Even though he did not know what Nye Tian was doing, Nye Santong could still sense the aura of the array. He was very curious. How could Nye Tian set up a spiritual array? Nye Tian, no matter what happened to you, you have to die today. Nye Santong had already lost his mind. For the sake of the Nye clan's patriarch position, he had to kill Nye Tian. Nye Tian could sense Nye Santong's killing intent from afar, but he smiled lightly. Little tail can't bear it anymore, then I'll play with you. After setting up the spiritual array, Nye Tian no longer had anything to worry about and could play with Nye Santong to his heart's content. At this time, it was almost night, and Nye Tian planned to venture into the depths of the shattering Cloud Mountain Range. With his current strength, if he encountered a 2nd or 3rd rank spirit beast, he would not have the ability to fight back, but he would have the ability to protect himself. Furthermore, there were not many spirit beasts that were active at night, so Nye Tian had nothing to be afraid of. Nye Tian increased his speed and advanced into the depths of the mountain range. Stinking brat, are you crazy? You actually dare to enter the depths of the shattering Cloud Mountain Range. Nye Santong followed closely, but he was not in a hurry to make a move. He had already staked everything on one throw, so he had to kill in one blow. Nye Tian's strength was very strange, and Nye Santong did not want any accidents to happen. Little Tail has taken the bait. Nye Tian smiled coldly and strode toward the valley. This brat can't know that I'm following him, right? Nye Santong followed Nye Tian into the valley and felt the cold wind blowing around him. Suddenly, there was an inexplicable fear in his heart. Nye Tian walked to the center of the valley and felt that Nye Santong's figure was getting closer and closer. He did not panic in his heart. Instead, he was a bit excited. 40 meters, 30 meters, 20 meters. Feeling that Nye Santong's figure was getting closer and closer, and the killing intent was getting more and more obvious, Nietion became incomparably excited and suddenly roared, "Oh!" The roar was like the howl of a wolf, and under the silent night sky, it reverberated out for thousands of meters. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Right after Nietion's roar finished, countless pitch-black figures appeared above the valley. Under the curtain of the night, one could only see the dark green eyes of these pitch-black figures. There were at least a few hundred pairs, and it seemed strange and eerie. Dark Shadow Wolf, a first-rank spirit beast. Although its strength is not strong, its speed is extremely fast. Also, there are at least a few hundred Dark Shadow Wolves in this valley, and there might even be a few Dark Shadow Wolf Kings. No matter what, it should be enough to make Santong suffer. Nieton muttered lightly, and the corner of his mouth curled up coldly. The roar, just now, was precisely to attract the Dark Shadow Wolf to appear. Stinking brat. What the hell is he doing? Is he trying to commit suicide? Santong looked at the countless dark green eyes around him, and his face became pale. Nietion attracted the Dark Shadow Wolf over. Could it be that he was not afraid that the Dark Shadow Wolf would kill him first? The answer was of course not. Since he dared to do so, Nietion naturally had his own means to protect himself. He took out a spirit pellet and muttered, "Corpse transformation pellet. The Dark Shadow Wolf shouldn't be interested in corpses, right?" After speaking, Nietion released a wave of origin energy and fused it into the corpse transformation pellet, and immediately, a dense rancid smell was released. The rancid and pungent smell enveloped Nietion's entire body, making him smell like a corpse that had died a long time ago. This was a spirit pellet that he found from the bodies of the bloodbath sex people, and it was mainly used to transform corpses. He did not expect that it would come in handy at this moment. Santong, I'm not playing with you anymore. Enjoy yourself." The corner of Nietion's mouth hooked up into a brilliant smile, and with a step, he leaped into the valley. Just like that, he walked past the countless Dark Shadow Wolves, but he was like a walking corpse. The Dark Shadow Wolves did not have any interest in him. Santong watched from the side in a daze, foolishly watching Nietion leave, while he himself was deep in the midst of the Dark Shadow Wolves' encirclement. "Awoo!" Nietion let out another wolf howl, sounding the battle horn of the Dark Shadow Wolves. In the next moment, wolf howls rose and fell, and countless Dark Shadow Wolves, like arrows released from a bow, rushed towards Santong. Santong, have fun playing with these wolf cubs. This patriarch will not accompany you any longer." Nietion looked down at the scene of Santong, being besieged by the pack of wolves from above the valley, laughed, and turned to leave. It was only now that Santong realized that Nietion had long known that he was tailing him. The reason why he did not show it was completely because he was toying with him. "Nietion, I will definitely kill you." Santong's ear-piercing howl of rage rang out behind Nietion. After leaving the valley, Nietion did not disperse the rancid smell on his body. Maintaining this kind of smell could practically make him completely unafraid of any spirit beasts. Unless a third-grade spirit beast appeared, because a third-grade spirit beast intelligence was no less than an 8- or 9-year-old child's, and could completely see through Nietion's disguise. Santong is an expert at the 9th level of the Origin Spirit Realm. A few hundred Dark Shadow Wolves can't take his life, but they can still peel off a layer of skin. I'd better handle my own matters first. Nietion did not wish to continue being entangled with Santong. After all, the current him still did not have the ability to fight Santong head-on. Chapter 31. Nietion was already a 9th level Origin Meridian martial artist 3 years ago. With his talent, he would definitely be able to awaken a spirit, and a strong one at that. The reason why he had not awakened a spirit was because all 9 of his Origin Meridians were destroyed. Origin Meridians were very important to martial artists. They were equivalent to a martial artist foundation. Once the foundation was destroyed, the spirit naturally could not awaken. Now that Nietion's 9 Origin Meridians had recovered, he even had a strange 10th Origin Meridian. Who knew what kind of spirit he would awaken? Nietion planned to spend 3 days to awaken his spirit, because he guessed that the bloodbath sect would appear 3 days later. It would be best if he could awaken his spirit before the bloodbath sect appeared. Soon, Nietian arrived at the bottom of a cliff and found a cave. After confirming that there were no spirit beasts, he directly entered the cave. After entering the cave, Nietian sealed the cave entrance with a spirit array to prevent spirit beasts or other martial artists from disturbing him. Casually looking around, Nietian discovered that this was a very wide cave, very suitable for cultivation. Immediately, he did not delay any longer and impatiently began to cultivate. On the first night, Nietian was not in a hurry to awaken his spirit, but prepared to awaken the power of a few more stars. Sitting cross-legged, Nietian directly entered the realm of the 10th origin meridian and began to comprehend and awaken the power of the stars. The night passed quickly. On the second day, when the sky was turning white, Nietian once again opened his eyes. The 10th origin meridian in his body had already awakened the power of 4 stars. In one night, he had awakened the power of 2 stars. Nietian's strength had almost doubled. At this time, if he used the flowing mortal seal, he could definitely kill Ba Ziliang in one blow. As my strength increases, the power of the stars becomes easier to awaken. It seems that the star spirit patterns on the raw star stones have different effects. Some can increase strength, some can increase speed. Nietian muttered to himself, voicing out the speculation in his heart. There are 900 billion star spiritual runes carved on the origin star stone. All the star spiritual runes looked the same at first glance, but upon closer inspection, one would discover that each spiritual rune was slightly different. Nietian speculated that the 900 billion astral spirit runes were all different. In other words, the increase brought about by the awakening of each astral spirit rune was also different. Is it possible that astral spiritual runes are the same as origin energy and have different attributes? Nietian smiled faintly. He suddenly felt that he had thought too far ahead. Now that Nietian had awakened 4 astral spirit patterns, his strength and speed had increased to a certain extent, causing his battle prowess to far surpass that of an ordinary 9th-level origin meridian martial practitioner, and was comparable to a 2nd or even 3rd-level origin spirit martial practitioner. Nietian took out several essence consolidating pills and blood essence pills from his storage bag and swallowed them. These elixirs were obtained from the bloodbath sect. They could help warriors instantly recover their stamina and mental strength. 9 Extremes War God Art, 1st level, Metal Yellow Heaven Realm. Feeling that his mental strength had already recovered, Nietian did not waste any time. He sat down cross-legged once more, closed his eyes, and started cultivating the 9 Extremes War God Art. Martial practitioners needed to borrow the help of martial arts and martial techniques when cultivating. Martial arts and martial techniques were separated into heaven, earth, mystic, and yellow ranks according to their grades. Heaven rank was the highest, while yellow rank was the lowest. Every grade was further divided into 3 grades, a total of 4 grades and 12 grades. The higher the grade of the martial art, the faster the martial practitioner's cultivation speed. The achievements the martial practitioner could attain in the future would also be higher. Every time a martial art rose by a grade, the martial practitioner's cultivation speed would double. This was an exponential increase. It was extremely terrifying. A martial practitioner who cultivated a low-level mystic rank martial art would have a cultivation speed 8 times faster than a martial practitioner who cultivated a low-level yellow rank martial art. 8 times. What kind of concept was that? You cultivating for a day was even more ferocious than others cultivating for 7 days. If you cultivated a heaven rank martial art, then the cultivation effect would be several hundred times, even several thousand times higher than others. It was simply heaven-defying. But martial arts and martial techniques were all very rare items. A small local family like the Nye family only had 1 low-level yellow rank martial art. Martial techniques were also just a paltry few kinds, and they were also low-level yellow rank. Even so, the Nye family relied on a low-level yellow rank martial art and several low-level yellow rank martial techniques, and already ranked as one of Moyang City's 3 great families. The terror of martial arts and martial techniques could be seen from this. The martial art that Nye Tian cultivated was called the 9 Extremes War God Art. It was the martial art that he cultivated in his previous life. The 9 Extremes War God Art was the martial art that Nye Tian obtained in the Heaven Realm's Forbidden Land, Dark Night Stupa Mountain. It was incomparably ferocious and abnormally domineering. If cultivated to the 9th level, one could cultivate the war god tyrant body, tearing the void with one's hands and trampling the firmament with one's feet. But Nye Tian did not know the 9 Extremes War God Art's grade. Although he already had 9th level Heavenly Emperor strength in his previous life, he only cultivated the 9 Extremes War God Art to the 5th level Earth Extreme Profound Heaven Realm. Nye Tian guessed that the 9 Extremes War God Art was very likely a legendary super heaven rank martial art. In his previous life, it was precisely by relying on the 9 Extremes War God Art that he could be invincible throughout the Heaven Realm, becoming the Heaven Realm's #1 war god. The 9 Extremes War God Art revolved. Essence energy gushed out from the essence meridians, cleansing the dantian and circulating throughout the entire body. Following the circulation of the essence energy within the body, Nye Tian's body seemed to have transformed into a vortex, starting to slowly absorb the spiritual energy between heaven and earth. Heaven and earth spiritual energy flowed into the dantian. The dantian then converted the heaven and earth spiritual energy into essence energy, storing it in the essence meridians. If the martial artist awakened a primordial spirit, then the primordial spirit could store even more essence energy. The essence energy within the body was the source of a martial artist's strength. Essence energy circulating 1 round in the body was 1 cycle. The higher the grade of the martial art that the martial artist cultivated, the shorter the time used to complete 1 cycle. At the same time, the amount of heaven and earth spiritual energy absorbed would also increase. This was the reason why martial artists who cultivated high-rank martial arts cultivated faster. The following 2 days, Nye Tian cultivated without sleeping or resting. He wanted to completely fill the 9 essence meridians with essence energy. Only then would the primordial spirit imprint appear clearly. 2 days later, Nye Tian felt that the time was right. The 9 essence meridians were already filled with essence energy, like 9 soldiers on standby. Next, it's the most important moment. Nye Tian once again swallowed a few foundation pill and blood essence pill to ensure that his stamina and mental power were in peak condition. Primordial spirit awakening. Let's begin. Nye Tian sat cross-legged, not wasting any time. The essence energy within the 9 essence meridians gushed out, surging within the dantian. Nye Tian first had to expand the dantian space in preparation for the primordial spirit awakening. Only when the dantian space was large enough could the primordial spirit within the body have a chance of awakening. A moment later, Nye Tian forcefully expanded the dantian space by several times. His current dantian space was already tens of cubic meters. The dantian space has been expanded. Next, it's time to stimulate the primordial spirit imprint. Nye Tian's lips curled into a slight smile. In his heart, he was very clear about the primordial spirit awakening process. Generally speaking, to awaken a primordial spirit, it had to be done under the guidance of an elder. But Nye Tian was someone who had been reborn, so the primordial spirit awakening was not a difficult matter for him. Essence energy, break for me. Nye Tian easily found the convergence point of the 9 essence meridians. The convergence point of the essence meridians was where the primordial spirit imprint was located, and the primordial spirit would awaken at this point. The primordial spirit imprint would slowly wither along with the age of a martial artist. If a martial artist could not reach the 9th level of the primordial meridian realm before the age of 30, the primordial spirit imprint would disappear, and the martial artist would no longer be able to awaken a primordial spirit. The surging essence energy of the 9 essence meridians rushed against the primordial spirit imprint, like a river bursting through a dam. Just at this moment, an intense pain came from within his body, instantly assaulting his entire body. Nietion instantly felt that every inch of his muscles and every bone in his body was about to be torn apart and crushed. The intense pain caused his entire body to tremble uncontrollably. If it was someone else at this moment, they would definitely think that something went wrong and give up on the primordial spirit awakening. But Nietion knew that this feeling of his body being torn apart was the premonition of the primordial spirit awakening. The primordial spirit awakening was a qualitative leap for a martial artist. It was like a silkworm turning into a butterfly or a phoenix undergoing nirvana. During this process, one had to endure unbearable pain. Persevere just a little bit more. Nietion gritted his teeth and persevered with his strong willpower. No matter how much sweat soaked his entire body, he did not give up. Under the impact of the essence energy of the 9 essence meridians, the primordial spirit imprint gradually showed a reaction. Like a sprout breaking through the soil, or like a nestling about to hatch, waves of life energy filled his dantian. Just a little bit more. Sweat poured down Nietion's face like rain. He felt that hope was right in front of him. He must succeed in awakening his primordial spirit. I must succeed, Nietion angrily roared in his heart. The 10th essence meridian also entered the fray, and the power of the stars surged forth like the final wave of water breaking through a dam. Pain. At this moment, the pain in his body suddenly intensified by several times. Nietion's entire body swayed violently, and he almost fainted. Why is it so painful? Nietion underestimated the pain of the primordial spirit awakening. Feeling this soul-piercing pain, Nietion's heart was filled with astonishment. He knew that when the primordial spirit awakened, the greater the pain, the more terrifying the primordial spirit was. In his previous life, his primordial spirit was a rank 9 supreme beast. But even when it was a rank 9 supreme beast awakening, it was not as painful as this. Could it be that there was a primordial spirit more terrifying than a rank 9 supreme beast in this world? No matter what kind of primordial spirit this is, I must awaken it. Nietion roared in his heart. His entire body trembled violently, and a tearing pain several times more painful than the previous one came. Nietion nearly crushed his teeth. Damn it, feels good. Nietion roared out a few words, and a sinister smile appeared on his face. The pain in his body became more and more intense, as if it was not only tearing every inch of his body, but also tearing his soul. The pain that Nietion had suffered in the past, compared to this, was not worth mentioning at all. If one did not experience it personally, no one could understand this kind of soul-tearing pain. Damned heavens! You wanted to give up? Impossible! Nietion roared ferociously, almost going crazy. He knew that if he could not bear this pain, his primordial spirit could not awaken. Then, the hatred of his previous life, the hatred of this life, could not be avenged. Not only that, if he could not awaken his primordial spirit, he was destined to live in humiliation in this life. He would even be tortured and killed by scum like Nye Santong, Ba Xiang, and Ba Ziliang. This kind of life was not what Nietion wanted. At this moment, Nietion's heart was filled with an almost terrifying determination. No one could stop his determination to become stronger, not even the heavens. A tragic wail sounded. Nietion's whole body trembled inexplicably, and the next moment, he fell into a terrible silence. The primordial spirit mark was activated. The primordial spirit was awakened. My primordial spirit is actually... The moment the primordial spirit mark was activated, Nietion's whole body froze, and his heart almost stopped at this moment because he saw that what he awakened was actually... Chapter 32. The moment Nietion saw his origin spirit, he felt as if the entire world had stopped moving. A coffin. It was a coffin. Nietion was not mistaken. The origin spirit he awakened was not a weapon spirit, a beast spirit, a wood spirit, or even a dead spirit, a ghost spirit, or even a spirit. It was a coffin. F***. What kind of joke is this? After being petrified for half a minute, Nyetian finally roared. His hoarse throat showed just how angry he was. After going through so much hardship and enduring the pain of his soul being torn apart, he finally awakened a coffin. This was hard for Nyetian to accept. If Nyetian had awakened a sword spirit or a powerful beast spirit, he would have been able to accept it calmly. However, a coffin was simply challenging the limits of his tolerance. Whose origin spirit would be a coffin? If word got out, people would laugh their heads off. After a long time, Nyetian finally calmed down. Phew, phew, phew. After exhaling 3 mouthfuls of turbid air, Nyetian's expression was still very ugly. Let's see what's in this coffin first. Forcing himself to calm down, Nyetian prepared to sense his origin spirit. Primal Chaos Original Coffin. Not a bad name. After scanning the origin spirit with his mind power, Nyetian immediately obtained some basic information about the origin spirit. To be honest, Nyetian's Primal Chaos Original Coffin might be a coffin, but it was a very exquisite coffin. It was crystal clear and very delicate, giving off an extremely beautiful feeling. But no matter how beautiful it was still a coffin. I can't tell its grade? Continuing to sense, Nyetian was shocked. He could not tell the grade of the Primal Chaos Original Coffin. A martial artist's origin spirit was divided into 9 different grades according to their grade. For example, Ba Zilliong's Blazing Sword was a grade 4 origin spirit, and Mo Rushi's 9 Skies Godly Phoenix was a grade 9 origin spirit. Given Nyetian's experience, he could practically identify all kinds of primordial spirit aptitudes. But right now, he couldn't tell the grade of the Primordial Chaos Original Coffin. It was a little strange. Don't worry about him for now. Nyetian shook his head. He didn't continue thinking about it, and continued observing the Primal Chaos Original Coffin. Soon, his expression became even more astonished. The surface of the Primal Chaos Origin Coffin had a layer of undetectable spatial fluctuations. Nyetian felt that this layer of space seemed to have separated itself from the rest of the space, and was solely enjoyed by the chaotic original coffin. How strange. Why does the chaotic original coffin give me such a profound feeling? It is as if it shouldn't exist at all. It is as if it came from another dimension. The surprise on Nyetian's face slowly turned into shock. He had a feeling that the flowing space around the chaotic original coffin seemed to have been created by the chaotic original coffin. It was very strange. Nyetian couldn't figure out what kind of original spirit the chaotic original coffin was, and his expression became more and more strange. Let's see if I can open the coffin with my elemental energy first. Nyetian's elemental meridians revolved, and a surge of elemental energy surged out and fused with the chaos original coffin. Whoosh! The chaotic original coffin sensed something, and a thin layer of halos flowed on its surface. Nyetian held his breath, and his heart jumped to his throat. At this moment, the halos on the surface of the chaotic original coffin suddenly surged out and turned into a whirlpool. In the blink of an eye, the vortex expanded and enveloped Nyetian. Ah! Nyetian screamed. He felt his soul tremble, and in the next moment he found himself in a sealed space. Nyetian examined the space he was in. It was squarish and angular. His expression immediately changed. I'm inside the coffin. How strange. The space here is different from the outside world. The flow of time has slowed down. Nyetian carefully sensed the space he was in, and his expression gradually became shocked. The flow of time in the chaotic original coffin was completely different from the outside world. It was as if the flow of time was only 1/10 of the outside world. Nyetian suddenly thought of something, and he was overjoyed. He exclaimed, "The flow of time is very slow. Doesn't that mean that cultivating in the chaotic original coffin for 10 days is only 1 day in the outside world? Doesn't that mean I have 10 times more time to cultivate than others?" Chaotic original coffin. So this is your magical use. Ha! Nyetian couldn't help but laugh. The feeling of going from hell to heaven made him jump uncontrollably. After a long time, Nietion gradually calmed down. He had a feeling that the benefits of the chaotic original coffin were not limited to this. Inside the chaotic original coffin, the 10th origin meridian in Nietion's body became very active. He couldn't help but wonder if the chaotic original coffin's origin spirit that he had awakened was related to the origin star stone. After a while, Nietion discovered that there were many strange patterns floating inside the chaotic original coffin. These strange patterns seemed to perfectly overlap with the space around them. They were hidden in the space, and it was difficult to find them. Nietion closed his eyes and carefully sensed every inch of the space around him. His expression gradually turned into one of shock, and his entire body stiffened in the end. He was a tenacious person, and ordinary things couldn't shock him at all. However, everything he sensed was too strange, and it had completely exceeded his imagination. The space inside the chaotic original coffin wasn't big, but after carefully sensing it, Nietion was shocked to discover that there seemed to be a very complicated sublayer of space within the space. The sublayer of space gave Nietion a feeling that it was boundless. What surprised him the most was that the sublayer of space was filled with strange patterns. They were like stars that flickered in the space, and there were so many of them that it was impossible to count them. After a long time, Nietion asked in surprise, "What are these patterns?" Most of the patterns in the sublayer of space were dark and hazy, and only a very small portion of them were bright. Nietion became more and more surprised. He finally realized that the chaotic original coffin's origin spirit was absolutely a heaven-defying origin spirit. Nietion opened his eyes, and his expression suddenly stiffened. In front of him was a heavenly book that glittered with starlight. The heavenly book was simple and dignified, and it was shrouded in specks of starlight, giving off a holy and solemn feeling. On the heavenly book, there were 4 big words: Star Soul Original Codex. "Open it." Nietion gulped and forced himself to calm down. His heart moved. The Star Soul Original Codex was really opened. On the first page of the book, there were a few words. Star Soul Original Codex records all the star souls of the galaxy precepts. Galaxy precepts? Star souls? The chaotic original coffin really is related to the star origin stone. Nietion immediately understood something. The inner world of the 10th origin meridian was the galaxy precepts, and the Star Soul Original Codex recorded all the star souls of the galaxy precepts. The two must be inextricably linked. What are star souls? With doubts, Nietion continued to read the Star Soul Original Codex. On the first page, there was an introduction about the Star Soul Original Codex. After reading it, Nietion immediately understood a lot. Star souls were the condensation of the Star Origin Codex. The strange pattern that Nietion saw in the sublayer space was the pattern of star souls. Star souls were also divided into levels, from the 1st level to the 9th level. Star souls could only be engraved with the Star Origin Codex, and other types of energy could not engrave star souls. Nietion continued to read the 2nd page of the Star Soul Original Codex. On the 2nd page, there were 12 patterns of star souls. Some were patterns of sharp arrows, some were patterns of spiritual beasts, and some were patterns of wings. All of them were 1st-level star souls. Could it be? Nietion suddenly thought of a possibility, and his heart was filled with joy. If I engrave the pattern of star souls, I will be able to use the power of star souls. But where should I engrave the pattern of star souls? Nietion frowned slightly and raised his head to look at the sealed space around him, and suddenly exclaimed, "Chaotic Original Coffin! I can engrave the pattern of star souls on the chaotic original coffin." Thinking of this possibility, Nietion no longer hesitated and immediately looked for a suitable pattern of star souls. This is it. His gaze finally landed on the pattern of a sharp arrow star soul named Scarlet Flame. If I engrave the Scarlet Flame star soul, will I be able to launch an attack like the archer's primordial spirit? Nietion was extremely excited and immediately took the Star Soul Original Codex and exited the chaotic original coffin. Nietion operated the 10th elemental meridian and traces of Star Origin Codex were like sharp blades, engraving stroke by stroke on the chaotic original coffin. At this time, Nietian discovered that the Scarlet Flame pattern looked very simple, but when engraved in detail, its interior was very complicated, and almost every detail contained a profound theory. Moreover, every trace of Star Origin Codex had to be just right, and it couldn't be too heavy, nor could it be too light. The strangest thing was that the Scarlet Flame, Star Soul, seemed to contain some kind of subtle spiritual formation. Some parts of the pattern had to be engraved first before it could be engraved into the spiritual plate, or else it would be gray and ineffective. Nietian threw himself wholeheartedly into the engraving of the Star Soul. After an unknown period of time, and after countless attempts, a complete Scarlet Flame Star Soul appeared on the chaotic original coffin. It was vivid and lifelike, and it was exactly the same as the pattern on the Star Soul original codex. It's finally done. Nietian let out a long breath, and only then did he discover that he was already covered in sweat, and his entire body was drenched. Engraving a small Star Soul pattern actually consumes so much mental energy. Nietian felt dizzy and a little dizzy. Luckily, his mental energy was strong enough, or else it would be impossible to engrave the Scarlet Flame Star Soul. Nietian wanted to continue flipping to the next page of the Star Soul original codex, but he discovered that he actually couldn't open it. He saw a row of small words below. When your strength reaches the 5th level of the Origin Spirit Realm, you can open the next page. Nietian frowned slightly and muttered to himself with a smile, "It's fine if I can't open it. I reckon that the Star Souls at the back will be even more complicated, and with my current strength, even if I can open it, I won't be able to engrave it, and it will only add to my troubles." Nietian was anxious to test out the power of the Scarlet Flame Star Soul, and so he directly came out from the space of his dantian. He removed the spiritual formation at the entrance of the cave and walked out. Having just awakened his origin spirit, and his cultivation reaching the 1st level of the Origin Spirit Realm, Nietian felt that his battle prowess had increased by a few times. If he were to encounter Bustling now, even if he didn't use a heaven-defying martial skill like the 3 seals of the God of War, he would still be able to contend against him. Chapter 33. He's here. Just walking out of the cave, Nietian's face was slightly surprised. He immediately smiled. He sensed Nies Santong's aura. "Nies Santong, you came at the right time." Nietian smiled faintly. He had already confirmed Nies Santong's position. It was precisely 300 meters away from him. In the thorny shrubs, 300 meters away, Nies Santong's figure appeared. The Kuranim was in an extremely sorry state. His clothes were tattered, and his body was also stained with blood. There were even several shocking wounds. Nietian, Nies Santong clutched the horrifying scar on his face. Thinking of Nietian, he wished he could skin the other party alive. It was precisely Nietian who made him end up in such a sorry state. There were as many as several hundred Dark Shadow Wolves. There were even 3 Dark Shadow Wolf Kings, equivalent to the strength of an Essence Spirit martial artist. Even if Nies Santong was a level 9 Essence Spirit martial artist, he also paid an extremely heavy price under such circumstances. Killing all the Dark Shadow Wolves, Nies Santong spent close to a day's time. In the following 2 days, he recovered from his injuries while searching for Nietian. Nies Santong had already completely fallen out with Nietian. If he did not kill Nietian, there was absolutely no way he could return to the Nief family. "Nietian, don't ever let me find you. Otherwise, I'll definitely skin you alive." Nies Santong secretly swore in his heart. His face also revealed a savage look. But what he did not know was that Nietian already had his eyes on him at this moment. "Nies Santong, there's a path to heaven, but you don't walk. There's no gate to hell, but you barge in. You can't blame me for this." Nietian locked onto Nies Santong from afar. The corners of his mouth curled into a cold smile. Nies Santong's strength was at the level 9 Essence Spirit. Nietian could rest assured and use him to test the power of the Scarlet Flame Star Soul. Nietian's divine sense moved. The Chaos Origin coffin sensed it, and the scarlet flame star soul turned into a stream of light, merging perfectly with the essence meridians in his body. Now, let's see how powerful the scarlet flame star soul is. Feeling a violent surge of energy in his dantian, Nyetian couldn't help but feel excited. The elemental energy undulations around his body became more intense, faintly condensing into a flickering fiery arrow. If others saw this scene, they would definitely think that Nyetian had awakened a bow and arrow-type primordial spirit. The archer's elemental spirit belonged to the weapon spirit among the three major elemental spirits. Compared to other elemental spirits, the archer elemental spirit's greatest advantage was its long-range attacks. Among the legions under Nyetian's command in his previous life, there was a legion called the Arrow God Guards. All the martial artists in this legion were archer origin spirits, and their battle strength was much stronger than that of an ordinary legion. To be able to annihilate the enemy army from hundreds of miles away, it was extremely unreasonable. The instant the scarlet flame astral soul fused with his Yuan meridian, Nyetian felt a surge of energy that was almost unbearable. If it wasn't for his 10th Yuan meridian, he suspected that his Yuan meridian would explode. Bang! In the next instant, the scarlet flame star soul broke through the air, emitting a violent whistling sound. The scarlet flame star soul went against the wind, and the fiery light on the arrowhead glowed brightly, faintly condensing into a crescent-shaped flame wave. The scarlet flame star soul was like a fire dragon that cut through the night sky. Its speed was extremely fast, arriving in the blink of an eye. What? Just as the scarlet flame star soul was about to land, Nyet Santong finally sensed danger. Looking up, he was instantly dazed. His face was deathly pale, and his eyes were filled with extreme fear. The speed of the scarlet flame star soul was too fast, and Nyet Santong had no time to react at all. In the next instant, the scarlet flame star soul erupted with an earth-shattering divine might. Before the tip of the arrow reached, Nyet Santong's entire aura had already dissipated. Under the illumination of the endless flames, Nyet Santong's shocked face was instantly replaced by fear. At this moment, other than fear, there was also deep regret in his heart. He regretted coming to the cloud-shattering mountain range. The clothes on Nyet Santong's body instantly turned into flying ash. On his skin, cracks appeared inch by inch, and streaks of blood covered his entire body. Boom! The scarlet flame star soul struck Nyet Santong's body, and his entire body was sent flying. After landing, he directly turned into a pile of black bones. The Nye family's head deacon, a 9th-level essence spirit expert, perished just like that. Dead. Nyetian could not help but be stunned when he sensed that Nye Santong was no longer breathing from afar. He also did not expect that the Scarlet Flame Star Soul would actually directly kill Nye Santong. One must know that Nye Santong had the strength of a 9th-level Essence Spirit Expert, while Nyetian only had the strength of a 1st-level Essence Spirit Expert. The difference between the two was practically an entire major realm. Nyetian calmed himself down and sprinted madly, arriving beside Nye Santong. After ascertaining that the latter was truly dead, he then heaved a sigh of relief. Directly killing a 9th-level Essence Spirit Expert. The power of the Scarlet Flame Star Soul is too terrifying. Nyetian repeatedly clicked his tongue. This kind of power was something that even he did not dare to imagine. After calming down, Nyetian started to estimate the power of the Scarlet Flame Star Soul. Nye Santong was injured by the Dark Shadow Wolf, causing his strength to drop. In addition to the fact that the Scarlet Flame Star Soul was a sneak attack, Nye Santong was completely caught off guard. That's why he was instantly killed. If Nye Santong had the chance to defend himself, the Scarlet Flame Star Soul would definitely not be able to instantly kill him. Perhaps it would not even be possible for him to be heavily injured. After a comprehensive analysis, Nyetian's estimation of the power of the Scarlet Flame Star Soul was much more conservative. But even so, Nyetian estimated that the power of the Scarlet Flame Star Soul was enough to allow him to instantly kill any martial artist below the 5th level of the Essence Spirit Realm. The Scarlet Flame Star Soul is only a 1st level Star Soul, and it's already so terrifying. Then wouldn't the 9th level Star Soul above the original Star Soul Opus be sick to the point of defying the heavens? As Nyation thought of this, the shock on his face was slowly replaced by excitement. If he could inscribe a 2nd level Star Soul, or an even higher level Star Soul, then his battle prowess would definitely skyrocket. But the current him did not even have the strength to open the next page of the original Star Soul Opus. Wanting to inscribe a 2nd level Star Soul was no different from a fool's talk. The most crucial thing was that his strength and mental energy were insufficient. Even if he opened the next page of the original Star Soul Opus, it would be useless. Luckily, I have a mental energy of the 40th level, which is far above the average martial artist. If not, I would only be able to look at the Star Soul diagram like a painting. Nyation rejoiced in his heart. Inscribing a 1st level Star Soul made Nyation feel extremely exhausted. If he only had a mental energy of the 10th level, it would be impossible for him to inscribe the Scarlet Flame Star Soul. The terrifying power of Star Souls had already been verified by Nyation. Nyation planned to inscribe a few more Star Souls in case of emergencies. Oh yes, there's still this little fellow. I wonder when it will hatch. Nyation suddenly thought of the frost snake egg. Taking it out to take a look, there were no signs of it hatching. Normally, the frost snake would hatch after 3 days. Now that 5 days had passed, there were still no signs of the frost snake egg hatching. This made Nyation suspect that the frost snake egg in his hand was spoiled. Nyation did not dwell on the problem of the frost snake egg. After disposing of Santong's corpse, he prepared to return to the cave. He would cultivate while waiting for the people from the Bloodbat sect to arrive. At this moment, Nyation suddenly felt a gust of cold wind behind him. He turned around. Behind him, a huge black bear with a height of 5 meters appeared out of nowhere. A 2nd level spirit beast, Violent Earth Bear. An expert among the 2nd level spirit beasts, equivalent to a 4th level origin spirit martial artist. The strength of its flesh and blood exceeds 10,000 gene. With a single palm, it can shatter a 10,000 gene boulder. Nyation immediately made a judgment on the Violent Earth Bear. The Violent Earth Bear was bloodthirsty and violent. It must have smelled the scent of blood on Santong's body. Roar! The Violent Earth Bear's blood-red eyes stared at Nyation. It let out a wild roar and stood on its hind legs. In the next moment, the Violent Earth Bear suddenly made its move. Its huge bear claws swung over in a domineering manner. Nyation frowned slightly. He used the soaring swan steps and easily dodged the Violent Earth Bear's attack. Although Nyation had awakened his origin spirit, it was too unique. It basically did not have much battle power. If he did not have an astral soul, it would be useless even if he revealed it. Moreover, the strength of the Violent Earth Bear's flesh and blood was too strong. Nyation did not want to face it head-on. The Violent Earth Bear's attack missed. It instantly became even more violent. With a furious roar, its huge body charged over, causing the earth to tremble. It is a beast after all. It only has a body full of brute force, but does not know how to use it. Nyation laughed. He took a step forward, and his body was like a flowing leaf in the air, graceful and elegant. Die! Nyation descended from the air and directly stepped on the back of the Violent Earth Bear. A heavy punch landed on the Violent Earth Bear's head. Pung! The Violent Earth Bear's head suffered a heavy blow and it fell forward. Its head split open and fresh blood gushed out. It struggled on the ground for a moment before it completely stopped breathing. Although the Primal Chaos Original Coffin cannot be used as a weapon, it has strengthened my Yuan meridians by more than a few times. In addition to the 4 astral spheres, my physical strength is definitely at least 15,000 gene. If I combine it with the Eastern Emperor Finger or the War God Emperor Fist, I should be able to exert a force of 20,000 gene. Not bad, Nyation mumbled to himself. He was extremely satisfied with the increase in strength after his origin spirit had awakened. The current him even without an astral soul, could easily deal with a fourth-level origin spirit cultivator. Moreover, he did not need to use an ultimate move like the three seals of the war god. After retrieving the violent Earthbear's spirit core, Nietion did not waste any more time. He hurriedly returned to the cave and sealed the cave entrance with a spiritual array before continuing his cultivation. For the next 8 to 9 days, Nietion remained in the cave. Other than leaving the cave once in the middle to set up a sensing spiritual array, he spent the rest of his time in cultivation. After close to 10 days, Nietion had finished all the spirit pills in his hands. He had also used up all the various medicinal herbs. His strength had also increased once more. He awakened the power of 6 astral spheres in his 10th Yuan meridian, and his strength had risen to the 2nd-level origin spirit realm. What made him the most excited was that he had inscribed 2 more astral souls on the Primal Chaos original coffin: the Heavenly Wolf Slaughter astral soul and the Sevenfold Waves astral soul. The complexity of these 2 astral souls was about the same as the Scarlet Flame astral soul, and their might should be about the same as well. It was just that the Heavenly Wolf Slaughter astral soul and the Sevenfold Waves astral soul were close combat astral souls, and had a qualitative increase to Nietion's battle prowess. With the support of these 2 astral souls, Nietion had the confidence to deal with a 7th-level Origin Spirit Realm expert. Going against a 7th-level Origin Spirit Realm expert with the strength of a 2nd-level Origin Spirit Realm. If word of this were to spread, no one would believe it. Nietion walked out from the cave, his brows slightly furrowed as he said curiously, "There's still 2 more days before the Moyang City martial meet starts, but the people from the Bloodbat sect have yet to appear. Could it be that I've guessed wrongly? Those 3 people from the Bloodbat sect just happened to appear in the cloud-splitting mountain range." After entering the cloud-splitting mountain range for more than 10 days, the people from the Bloodbat sect had yet to appear. This caused Nietion to be extremely puzzled. Suddenly, Nietion's expression changed, before turning into one of pleasant surprise. Chapter 34. Sensing the appearance of a large group of strong warriors, Nietion immediately determined that it must be the Bloodbat Gate. Without any delay, he sprinted towards the Spiritual Detection Formation. On a remote path leading to Moyang City, 30 to 40 martial artists in black appeared. They wore the same clothes, their expressions cold and serious. "Altar Leader, we are about to leave the breaking cloud mountains. Once we leave the mountains, we will reach Moyang City. The people of the Ba family should be here to help us. Why isn't anyone here?" A skinny old man said to the burly man at the front with a sharp look in his eyes. The skinny old man was Lu Isho, the Vice Altar Leader of the 36th Division of the Bloodbat Gate. Every division of the Bloodbat Gate had an Altar Leader and 2 Vice Altar Leaders. The burly man in front of Lu Isho was the Altar Leader, Xiongba, and the Vice Altar Leader was the head of the Ba clan, Ba Wu Li. Xiongba laughed and said arrogantly, "Since the Ba clan did not appear, we will enter Moyang City directly. Just a small Moyang City. This Altar Lord doesn't care about it." "Altar Leader, do not underestimate Moyang City." Compared to Xiongba, Lu Isho was more cautious. Ba Ziliang once said that there are 2 all-creation martial artists in Moyang City. One is the city lord, the other is an elder of a large clan. Although our 36th Division has sent out all the elites, it is better to be safe. Xiongba paused, thought for a moment, then said, "All right, we will do as you say. Send someone to the Ba clan to check out the situation and enter the city after dark." "Altar Leader is wise." Lu Isho smiled. At this moment, Nietion's figure had already appeared, and he had heard the entire conversation just now. "Ba clan, you are in cahoots with the Bloodbat Gate." Nietion clenched his fists, his face twisted with anger. The Bloodbat Gate mentioned the Ba clan and was about to enter. This couldn't be any more obvious. The Ba clan and the Bloodbat sect were already in cahoots with each other. Thinking of the enmity between the Ba clan and the Nye clan, it was not hard for Nietion to guess that the tragedy of the Nye clan 3 years ago was related to the Ba clan. "Ba clan, Bloodbat sect, I will make you pay with your blood." Nietion gradually calmed down. Even if he could not wait to tear apart all the people from the Bloodbat sect in front of him, he definitely could not act rashly. Nyetian could sense that these 30-odd Bloodbat sect people before him were actually all Essence Spirit Realm martial practitioners. There were even several 9th-level Origin Spirit Realm experts among them. What shocked him even more was that the muscular altar master, Xiongba, was actually at the 5th tier of the Wanxiang Adept level. He was even more terrifying than Yetai, who was at the 3rd tier of the Wanxiang Adept level. For the Bloodbat sect to suddenly send out so many experts, what were they trying to do? Completely calming down, Niet Tian began to analyze the purpose of the Bloodbat sect's visit. From their conversation, the Bloodbat sect seemed to have come from Moyang City. Could it be that the Bloodbat Gate is going to help the Ba clan control Moyang City? Thinking of this possibility, Niet Tian's heart sank. If that was the case, not only would the Nie family be in danger, but the City Lord's mansion would also be doomed. Just as Niet Tian was in a daze, he suddenly sensed a sharp gaze shooting towards him. Niet Tian's expression changed slightly. Looking over, he just happened to meet with a pair of dark green eyes. The owner of the dark green eyes was a youth who looked to be 15 or 16 years old. His features were handsome until it bordered on devilish. He was actually currently smiling strangely at Niet Tian. He discovered me. Niet Tian was rather shocked. He was several hundred meters away from the Bloodbat sect's people. Furthermore, he intentionally retracted his aura. Unless it was an expert whose mental strength surpassed tier 40, it was impossible to discover him. For the green-eyed youth to be able to discover his whereabouts, he definitely had extraordinary means. Could it be the other pupils of a talented martial artist? Niet Tian stared at the other party's dark green eyes and made a guess in his heart. There is a type of martial artist who was born with some kind of innate divine ability. This type of martial artist was known as talented martial artists. The abilities of talented martial artists were generally very terrifying, far more terrifying than ordinary martial artists. This youth's eyes were green, different from normal people's. It was obvious that he was born with a different pupil. Niet Tian's guess was correct. The youth who was staring at him was indeed a talented martial artist. Moreover, it was the extremely rare ghost eye. The ghost eye allowed this youth to see everything within a 500-meter radius. 13, is something wrong? Lu Yishou noticed Tang 13's strange expression and asked cautiously. The ghost-eyed youth, Tang 13, smiled strangely at Niet Tian. Then, he looked away and said softly, "It's just a spiritual beast. It's nothing." Lu Yishou glanced in Niet Tian's direction. Seeing nothing out of the ordinary, he didn't say anything. 13, go to Moyang City and check things out. Bring the Ba clan's people here. Xiongba said to Tang 13. Okay. Tang 13 responded. He turned around and left. His speed was so fast that he disappeared in the blink of an eye. Why didn't he expose my whereabouts? Niet Tian watched Tang 13's silhouette disappear. He felt strange. After thinking for a while, Niet Tian decided to follow Tang 13, a youth with the ghost eye who had reached the 5th level of the Origin Spirit Realm. This piqued Niet Tian's curiosity. Tang 13's speed was extremely fast. Luckily, Niet Tian was more familiar with the route. After a while, Niet Tian arrived at the outer forest of the Breaking Cloud Mountains. Come out. Niet Tian smiled and said softly. As his voice faded, Tang 13's silhouette slowly walked out from behind him. You're not bad. To be able to sense my presence. The corner of Tang 13's lips curled up. His ghost eye scanned Niet Tian's body, as if he was proud of himself. You're not bad either. To have reached the 5th level of the Origin Spirit Realm at such a young age. Niet Tian replied softly. He was not afraid of Tang 13. If he made any strange moves, he wouldn't mind killing him. With 2 astral souls in his hands, Niet Tian was confident that he could kill Tang 13 in one move, even if the latter had the ghost eye. He only felt that it would be a pity for such a talented youth to die like this. Speak. Why didn't you tell your people about my presence? Niet Tian didn't want to waste words with Tang 13. Tang 13 glanced at Niet Tian again and asked, Were you the one who killed the 3 from the Bloodbat sect? Tian was slightly taken aback. Tang 13's intelligence had exceeded his expectations. However, his face remained calm as he asked, "How did you know? You were holding on to one of their interspatial pouches. Furthermore, I could sense the aura of a corpse-dissolving pill on you. I don't think a small place like Moyang City would have a corpse-dissolving pill," Tang 13 said casually. Tian cursed in his heart. However, he maintained a smile on his face and said, "Since you know about it and didn't reveal my whereabouts, it means that you have a request. Tell me your request." Tian had been observing Tang 13. Although this youth was strong and intelligent, he didn't exude a violent aura. This meant that he hadn't killed many people and wasn't a bloodthirsty person. Tian had a feeling that Tang 13 didn't look like a teenage killer. Instead, he looked more like a young master from a large clan. What made Tian even more surprised was that Tang 13 looked very similar to one of his disciples. Not only that, this disciple also had the surname Tang and also had the ghost eye. "Tang Hao, is this youth related to you?" Tian laughed in his heart. In his previous life, Tian was the #1 war god in the heaven realm. He was also a dual cultivator of the Tao of alchemy. He had countless disciples, but only 9 direct disciples. Tang Hao was the last direct disciple he accepted. When Tian first accepted Tang Hao, the latter was only a teenager. Now that 100 years had passed, if Tang Hao was still alive, he would have become a powerful warrior a long time ago. "I want to make a deal with you." Tang 13, of course, didn't know what Tian was thinking. He stopped smiling and said seriously, "Let's hear it." Tian nodded and smiled. "I want you to kill someone for me." Tang 13 stared at Tian as if he wanted to confirm something. Sadly, he couldn't find any information from Tian. Who? Tian was interested. It wasn't common for a killer to ask someone else to kill someone. If you're from Moyang City, then you should know this person. He is Ba Ziliang from the Ba clan. As Tang 13 spoke, he kept staring at Tian. However, the latter gave him a very deep feeling that he couldn't see through him. Tian was amused by Tang 13. He smiled and said, "If my guess is correct, Ba Ziliang is also from the Bloodbat House. You are from the same organization. Why you want to kill him?" "Personal grudge." Tang 13 didn't want to reveal too much and said coldly. Tian chuckled and said, "I am only of the 2nd level of the Origin Spirit Realm. Ba Ziliang is of the 4th level of the Origin Spirit Realm. What makes you think I can kill him?" Tang 13 said seriously, "The ghost eye told me." "Oh." Tian nodded and smiled. "I almost forgot. The ghost eye can analyze an opponent's fighting ability. The ghost eye told you that you are no match for me, right?" Tang 13's expression froze, but he still nodded. As a genius, it wasn't easy to admit that someone else was stronger than you, especially when this person was the same age as you. "Okay, I can help you kill Ba Ziliang." Tian nodded and said, "But what benefits do I get?" Tang 13 hesitated and said, "The Bloodbat House is about to help the Ba family control Moyang City. If you're from Moyang City, I advise you to leave as soon as possible. No matter how strong you are no match for the Bloodbat House. I will use this information to exchange for Ba Ziliang's life. Is that enough?" "Of course not." Tian directly rejected Tang 13 and said, "You don't need to tell me this information. I already know it." Tang 13 was stunned. She clearly didn't expect Tian to be so cunning. "Then what do you want?" Tang 13 frowned and asked, "I will help you kill someone, and you will help me find someone. How about that?" Tian smiled faintly. "Find someone? Who do you want to find?" Tang 13 was confused. Technically, killing someone was much harder than finding someone. Why didn't Tian go find someone himself? Why did he need Tang 13's help? Tian lifted his head and stared at Tang 13. He said a name, Tang Hao. Tang Hao. Chapter 35. Hearing Tang Hao's name, Tang 13's expression froze. It took her a few seconds to recover. "I knew it. You are related to Tang Hao." Tian deduced from Tang 13's expression that Tang Hao and Tang Hao were related, and they were very close. Judging from their ages, they should be father and son, or grandfather and grandson. "Why are you looking for Tang Hao?" Tang 13 came to her senses and asked cautiously, "Nothing important. I'm just greeting an old friend." Nie Tian smiled, his expression calm. Tang Hao was Nie Tian's direct disciple. If they could find Tang Hao, Nie Tian's rise to power would be accelerated. According to Nie Tian's estimation, after Emperor Dainite and Luo Xian killed him, his subordinates and legacy disciples would also be hunted down. I wonder how many of the 9 direct disciples are left. Thinking of this, Nie Tian could not help but sigh. From Tang 13's reaction, Tang Hao should still be alive. How about it? Do you agree to help me find him? Seeing that Tang 13 was still thinking, Nie Tian urged. Tang 13 looked at Nie Tian. After a long time, she made up her mind and nodded. "All right, I promise you." "Good, it's a promise." Nie Tian smiled happily. "Right, I also want to know when the Bloodbath Gate will make their move." Nie Tian asked again. Tang 13 replied, "The night after the martial gathering of Moyang City. They will first destroy the mayor's palace, then the Nye clan." After saying that, Tang 13's body moved and turned into a blur. In an instant, she disappeared without a trace. "Young man, don't forget our promise." Nie Tian did not forget to remind Tang 13. "I, Tang 13, am a man of my word." Tang 13's voice came from afar. Tang 13, a good name. Nie Tian smiled. If he could really find Tang Hao through Tang 13, it would be a great help to Nie Tian. "Tang 13, why are you in the Bloodbath Gate?" Nie Tian was very curious. How did Tang Hao's descendant get involved with an organization like the Bloodbath Gate? These problems were not Nie Tian's primary concern. The thorniest problem now was how to deal with the Bloodbath sect. This time, the 36th branch altar of the Bloodbath sect had practically turned out in full force. An altar master of the 5th tier of the All Creations realm, in addition to 30 to 40 essence spirit experts. Most likely, there weren't so many essence spirit experts in the entire Moyang City. "I'll go look for Emotai first. I have to let him know about this." Nie Tian didn't think about it anymore. After leaving the shattering Cloud Mountain range, he headed straight for Moyang City. The Bloodbath sect had come in a menacing manner, obviously aiming for Moyang City. At this time, only Emotai could stand up and unite the forces of Moyang City. Only then would they have a chance against the Bloodbath sect. Tang 13 was a variable. Perhaps she could be a life-saving chess piece at a crucial moment. Half an hour later, Nie Tian arrived at the City Lord Mansion. The guards of the City Lord Mansion recognized Nie Tian and did not stop him. Nie Tian went straight to the meeting hall. A moment later, Nie Tai's figure appeared. "Nephew Nie Tian, long time no see. Your strength has improved quite a bit again." Mo Tai's face was glowing, and he smiled brightly. Clearly, he was in a good mood. After Mo Rushi's Yuan's spirit awakened, she spent several days stabilizing it. Now, she was already at the 2nd tier of the Essence Spirit realm. Even a few 3rd-tier Essence Spirit experts of the City Lord Mansion weren't a match for her. How could Mo Tai not be happy? "Nie Tian, where have you been these days?" When Mo Rushi heard that Nie Tian had come to the City Lord Mansion, she immediately stopped cultivating and rushed over. Nie Tian looked at the furious Mo Rushi and chuckled. "I've been cultivating in the mansion. I haven't gone anywhere." "You're lying. I went to the Nye mansion to look for you many times, but you weren't there." Mo Rushi reprimanded. Suddenly realizing that she had said something she shouldn't have, she couldn't help but blush. "You looked for me many times?" Nie Tian smiled happily and said, "You miss me a lot." "Pooey." Mo Rushi's face turned even redder. She stomped her feet and said, "I don't miss a shameless person like you." "It's good that you don't miss me." Nie Tian chuckled and said, "But I miss you every day. You shameless." Mo Rushi looked angry, but she was inexplicably happy in her heart. Cough, cough. Mo Tai couldn't stand it anymore. He coughed and looked at Nie Tian. "Family head Nye, is there something you need from me?" Nie Tian quickly became serious and said, "There's something big," Nie Tian said, and took a look at Mo Rushi. He didn't want her to know about the Bloodbath sect. Mo Tai could tell what Nie Tian was thinking. He smiled and said to Mo Rushi, "Rushi, I have something to discuss with family head Nye. You can leave for now. Mo Rushi was smart, and she could tell that Nye Tian didn't want her to stay. Immediately, her missy temper flared up. She walked over and sat next to Nye Tian, then said, Nye Tian, you want me to leave, but I won't. Let's see what you can do to me. Mo Rushi was very proud of herself. She raised her snow-white chin and revealed her fair and slender neck, looking like a proud swan. Nye Tian didn't know whether to laugh or cry, and he could only look at Mo Tai. Mo Tai had no choice but to say, if Rushi wants to stay, then stay. Family head Nya, if you have something to say, just say it. What family head? Aren't you just a brat who is the same age as me? Mo Rushi pouted her small mouth, looking unconvinced. Nye Tian was speechless. He said, City Lord Mo, this is what you want me to say. Don't regret it. Mo Tai didn't want Mo Rushi to be involved in the bloodbath sex matters. If Nye Tian said it, Mo Rushi would know everything. Say it. Mo Tai nodded. Nye Tian no longer hesitated and immediately told him everything about the bloodbath sect. At the end, he added, the bloodbath sect came to Moyang City this time to help the Ba clan conquer Moyang City. Their primary target is the City Lord's mansion. After Nye Tian finished, Mo Tai and Mo Rushi were shocked and didn't speak for a long time. The bloodbath sect launched a large-scale attack, and their primary target was the City Lord mansion. This caught Mo Tai off guard. Previously, Nye Tian told him about the bloodbath sect, but after more than 10 days, there was no movement at all. Mo Tai thought that the 3 people from the bloodbath sect who were killed just happened to appear. Now, that Nye Tian told him that the bloodbath sect was coming for the City Lord mansion, Mo Tai found it hard to accept. Nye Tian, is what you said true? After a while, Mo Tai calmed down, but he still had doubts about Nye Tian's words. Nye Tian said seriously, everything I said is true. The people from the bloodbath sect will enter the city tonight. City Lord Mo can guard the city gate at night. He will definitely find something unusual. Father, what should we do? Mo Rushi suddenly asked. She believed Nye Tian's words without a doubt. Although Mo Rushi didn't know what kind of organization the bloodbath sect was, they killed Nye Tian's father and the Nye clan 3 years ago. From this, it could be seen that the bloodbath sect was definitely not a good organization. Mo Tai was silent, as if he was thinking about something. Suddenly, Mo Tai raised his head and looked at Nye Tian. What do you think? The bloodbath sect was too strong. Mo Tai didn't know what to do for a while. Instinctively, he felt that Nye Tian would have a good idea. Nye Tian looked at Mo Tai and said, if I were the city lord, the best way to deal with this would be to gather all the essence spirit martial artists in Moyang City and ambush them at the City Lord mansion. When the people from the bloodbath sect come, we will catch them unprepared. Mo Tai nodded solemnly. Apart from the Ba clan, there are at most 20 essence spirit martial artists in Moyang City. But the bloodbath sect has a total of 40 essence spirit martial artists, and they even have a 5th-tier Wanxiang expert overseeing them. Their battle strength is twice that of Moyang City. Even if we succeed in ambushing them, we won't be a match for the bloodbath sect. Nye Tian nodded. Mo Tai was right. The people from the bloodbath sect and the Ba clan definitely had more than 40 essence spirit martial artists. The most terrifying thing was that there was a 5th-tier Wanxiang expert. Mo Tai and Nye Yuan combined might not necessarily be a match for this altar leader, who had the strength of the 5th tier of the Wanxiang adepts. Mo Tai was at the 3rd-tier Wanxiang, and Nye Yuan was at the 1st-tier Wanxiang. They were far weaker than the altar master of the bloodbath sect. One had to know that when a martial artist reached the Wanxiang realm, the difference in strength between each tier was very obvious. After thinking for a moment, Nye Tian suddenly said, City Lord Mo, I have a way, but I will need you to pay a price. Are you willing? Speak. Mo Tai didn't hesitate. Nye Tian paused, then said, I can refine some explosive yuan pills to temporarily raise your strength to the 4th or 5th tier of the Wanxiang realm. This way, you will be able to fight against that altar master. If Nye Yuan and the others also take the explosive yuan pills, our chances of victory will greatly increase. Explosive yuan pills? Mo Tai was stunned, then said, as far as I know, The explosive yuan pill is a second-tier spirit pill. Can you refine it? Being able to refine second-tier spirit pills meant that one was already a second-tier alchemist. Their status was much higher than that of ordinary martial artists. Nietian had a sloppy look on his face. No matter how one looked at him, he didn't look like a noble alchemist at all. Alchemists were one of the more special existences among martial artists. An alchemist's battle prowess was average, but the influence of an alchemist was very extraordinary. When martial artists cultivated, they needed to consume large amounts of spirit pills. Thus, alchemists became the most noble existences. However, it was extremely difficult to become an alchemist. This was because the threshold to become an alchemist was very high. Ordinary martial artists who wanted to become an alchemist needed to have a stronger primordial spirit than ordinary people, extraordinary willpower, and extraordinary comprehension skills. Other than that, they also needed to have an extremely strong perception of various medicinal ingredients, control over fire, and mental strength that far surpassed ordinary people. Among all these requirements, mental strength was the most important. Thus, alchemists were existences that were 1 in 10,000. A first-tier alchemist status was much higher than that of an Wanxiang martial artist. It was precisely because of this that Mo Tai was so shocked when Nye Tian said that he could refine the explosive yuan pill. Nye Tian smiled faintly. He raised his head slightly and said confidently, "As long as you give me a pill cauldron and sufficient medicinal ingredients, I can have as many explosive yuan pills as you want." Nye Tian was a 9th-tier pill emperor in his previous life. After his rebirth, his mental strength had dropped significantly. However, he was still at level 40, which was comparable to a 4th-tier alchemist. Alchemists did not have high requirements for a martial artist's personal strength. The most important requirement was mental strength. Thus, the current Nye Tian, as long as he had sufficient medicinal ingredients and a good pill cauldron, could definitely refine a 4th-tier spirit pill. "You are really an alchemist." Mo Tai was astonished when he saw Nye Tian speaking seriously. After witnessing Nye Tian casually setting up a spiritual array, Mo Tai's opinion of Nye Tian rose once again. "I'm an alchemist." Nye Tian nodded his head heavily. Mo Rushi looked at Nye Tian with a gratified smile. She was not surprised at all. Ever since Nye Tian helped her awaken her primordial spirit, Mo Rushi was no longer surprised by anything that happened to Nye Tian. "There's a pill cauldron in the city lord's manor. What medicinal ingredients do you need? I will send someone to look for them." Mo Tai was slightly excited. He felt as though there was a glimmer of hope at the end of the tunnel. Nye Tian did not waste any time. He took out a pen and paper and swiftly wrote down the medicinal ingredients he needed. The explosive yuan pill was a 2nd-tier spirit pill. There were many alchemy rooms for it. Nye Tian chose the simplest one. After all, Moyang City was a small place. It was impossible to find higher-tiered medicinal ingredients. Chapter 36. A day later, Mo Tai finally finished collecting the herbs. 17 sets of golden sun grass, 9 sets of flame holly, 11 sets of scarlet drill flower, 11 sets of crack crow, 13 sets of heaven essence lotus, and 13 sets of Tier 1 fire attribute spiritual cores. I can use these medicinal ingredients to refine 9 or 10 yuan burst pills. Nye Tian looked at the medicinal ingredients on the table with a faint smile on his face. It was not easy for Mo Tai to collect so many medicinal herbs in just one day. After all, Moyang City was a poor and remote place. Nye Tian walked out of the room and ordered Mo Tai not to be disturbed. After Mo Tai agreed, he personally stood guard at the door. Nye Tian's yuan burst pill was too important. It could decide the future of Moyang City. He could not afford to make any mistakes. Nye Tian returned to his room and arranged the cauldron and the herbs. The cauldron in front of Nye Tian was a good one. It was at least a Tier 3 artifact. He was curious why the mayor's mansion would have such a good cauldron. Next, Nye Tian sorted out the medicinal ingredients one by one and divided them into 9 portions. As for the medicinal ingredients that he didn't need, he put them into his bag of holding. 9 Heaven's Flame Technique. Nye Tian opened his palm, and his elemental meridians started to revolve. A moment later, a strange scene appeared. A ball of scarlet flame appeared on his palm. Nine Heavens Flame Technique. This was the fire-controlling technique that Nietian cultivated in his previous life. It was a terrifying fire-controlling martial skill. Not only could it control flames, it could also use elemental energy to create flames. Fire controlling was the most basic requirement to become an alchemist. Many people did not know how to control fire, so they were not fated to be an alchemist. Go! Nietian turned his palm, and the scarlet flame flew to the three-legged cauldron. Nietian kept transferring elemental energy to keep the scarlet flame burning. Next, it was time to put the herbs in. Never underestimate the step of putting the herbs in. This step might seem simple, but it was actually the most mysterious. The order, timing, and quantity of each medicinal herb had to be precise and precise. During this process, the alchemist needed to use his own strong mental energy to sense the changes in the attributes of each herb. If he was even slightly careless, it was possible for the pill to explode or even the cauldron to explode. Golden sungrass, flame holly, scarlet drill flower, split-mouth crow, sky essence lotus, and a level 1 fire attribute spirit core. Nietian very carefully placed these herbs into the pill cauldron. If other alchemists were to see Nietian's current actions, they would definitely shout and scream. Because Nietian directly put the medicinal herbs into the cauldron according to the type, not according to the amount. Alchemists generally refine elixirs one by one, but now Nietian obviously wanted to refine all the elixirs at once. Actually, Nietian didn't do this on purpose. It was because he didn't have enough essence energy. If he were to refine pills one by one, he would only be able to refine 2 explosive yuan pills. In order to refine as many explosive yuan pills as possible, Nietian could only take the risk out of desperation. Actually, it couldn't be said to be taking the risk out of desperation, because Nietian was very confident in his attainments in the pill Dao. With his current spiritual energy and the super strong pill refining experience from his previous life, even if there were any mistakes in the middle, he would be able to correct them in time. After the medicinal herbs were placed into the cauldron, time ticked by, and Nietian's face slowly turned paler and paler. Controlling the fire to refine pills simply consumed too much essence energy. Nietian's strength was only at the 2nd level of origin spirit, and he was too much of a burden. Mo Tai and Mo Rushi waited outside the room, both of them sweating profusely from anxiety. 10 over minutes later, Nietian's body almost started to sway, and he almost couldn't stand. Power of stars. The essence energy of the 9 essence meridians in his body was completely depleted. Helpless, Nietian could only use the 10th meridian's power of stars. He didn't use the power of stars earlier because he didn't know how the power of stars would affect the pill refinement. As the power of stars gushed out, the scarlet red flame under the pill cauldron suddenly became vigorous, and there seemed to be an unusual aura appearing. Nietian sensed the rich medicinal fragrance, and his expression slowly turned into one of surprise. Pill form. Another 10 over minutes passed. Just as Nietian was sweating profusely, his eyes suddenly narrowed, and he exclaimed in surprise. The flame under the pill cauldron disappeared, and 9 explosive yuan pills leaped out of the pill cauldron, landing in Nietian's palm. After the power of stars was integrated into the explosive yuan pill, its aura seems to be even stronger than before. Nietian immediately discovered that the power of stars didn't deplete the explosive yuan pill at all. In fact, it was quite beneficial. He estimated that the explosive yuan pill in his hand was almost close to a 3rd-level spirit pill. If I'm not wrong, the explosive yuan pill is enough to raise Mo Tai's strength to the 5th level of the manifestation realm. Nietian smiled slightly, very satisfied with the explosive yuan pill he refined. Mo Tai and his daughter heard the commotion in the room and knew that Nietian had finished refining the pill, so they pushed the door open and entered. It's really the explosive yuan pill. Mo Tai looked at the pill in Nietian's hand in shock. City Lord Mo knows about the explosive yuan pill? Nietian expressed his surprise. Emotai chuckled. I've seen it before. Nyetian could see that Emotai was obviously hiding something, so he didn't ask any further. He handed the explosive yuan pill to Emotai and kept 4 for himself. Nyetian said, tomorrow is the day Moyang City's martial meet begins. I'll return to the Nye Manor now. After the martial meet ends, I'll bring the Nye clan's origin spirit realm martial artists to the city Lord's Manor. With that, Nyetian didn't waste any more time and turned to leave. Nyetian, will you participate in the martial meet tomorrow? Mo Rushi pulled Nyetian and asked softly. Nyetian smiled faintly. Tomorrow's martial meet is no longer important, but I have some matters to settle, so I will still participate. Nyetian originally didn't want to participate in the Moyang City's martial meet, but he promised Tang 13 to kill Bazilion. The Moyang City martial meet was a good opportunity, so he reluctantly participated. With his current strength, he was confident that he could easily kill Bazilion. Then I'll participate too. Mo Rushi nodded seriously. Nyetian teased. Miss Mo, you still want to defeat me, right? So what if I do? Mo Rushi's face was unconvinced as she glared at Nyetian. I'm now at the 2nd level of the origin spirit realm, and my origin spirit is very strong. Defeating you is as easy as flipping my hand. Nyetian smiled speechlessly and didn't try to explain anything. Then we'll meet at the martial meet. Anyway, the martial meet was rather boring to Nyetian, so playing with Mo Rushi wasn't a big deal. All right, I'll definitely defeat you. Mo Rushi nodded heavily. Nyetian didn't say anything else and immediately left. Father, what's Nyetian's strength now? Mo Rushi couldn't tell Nyetian's strength anymore, so she raised her head and asked Emotai. Emotai sighed. 2nd level of the origin spirit realm. 2nd level of the origin spirit realm. Mo Rushi was quite surprised and pouted. I didn't think that this shameless person would also awaken his origin spirit. Rushi, you're not his match. If you meet him tomorrow, don't force yourself. Emotai knew that Nyetian wouldn't hurt Mo Rushi, but he was worried that Mo Rushi would be too stubborn. Father, I know. Mo Rushi wasn't an unreasonable girl and knew that tomorrow's martial meet wasn't important anymore. She still had to rely on Nyetian and the Nye family to deal with the Bloodbat sect at night. When Nyetian returned to the Nye family, he immediately went to the meeting hall. After a while, the elders and attendants of the Nye family were all present. For elders and 2 attendants, these were all the origin spirit experts of the Nye family. Patriarch, you're finally back. Tomorrow is the martial meet in Moyang City. Patriarch, you must help the Nye family take the championship. Nye Wenyuan was very excited when he saw Nyetian and said in a clear voice. Nyetian nodded lightly and said, did anything happen in the Nye family these days? Nye Wenyuan replied, no, I don't know why, but the Ba family was very quiet and didn't find trouble with the Nye family. Nyetian shook his head slightly. The Ba family was waiting for the Bloodbat sect to arrive and then destroy the City Lord's mansion and the Nye family in one fell swoop. Of course they wouldn't act rashly. Oh, Nye Santong suddenly disappeared. I don't know where he went. Nye Wenyuan added. Maybe he felt that the Nye family couldn't stay any longer and found another way out. Don't bother with him. Nyetian smiled calmly. He didn't admit that he killed Nye Santong because he didn't want to bring any shock to the Nye family. After all, Nye Santong had some power in the Nye family. Great Elder, this patriarch has some things to say. Don't get too excited after you hear it. Nyetian didn't continue nagging and planned to tell them about the Bloodbat sect. Nye Wenyuan didn't know what Nyetian was planning, but seeing that the latter's expression wasn't right, his heart couldn't help but sink. Nyetian scanned the crowd and told them everything about the Bloodbat sect. After Nye Wenyuan and the rest heard it, they all looked at each other, not quite believing Nyetian's words. Who would have thought that the tragedy of the Nye family 3 years ago was actually caused by the Bloodbat sect, and even colluded with the Ba family? Nyetian didn't give them time to react and said, after the martial gathering tomorrow, you will follow me to the City Lord's mansion and fight to the death with the Bloodbat sect. Okay. Nye Wenyuan was the first to react and was also the first to stand up and loudly agreed. Nyetan was the patriarch, and the Nye family and the Bloodbat sect had an irreconcilable hatred, so Nye Wenyuan had to support him. Nye Wenyuan agreed, and the others could only nod. After everyone nodded in agreement, Nye Tian took out the Yuan detonation pill and handed it over to Nye Wenyuan. Then, he gave him a brief explanation of the pill's usage. The Yuan burst pill could temporarily increase a martial artist's strength, but it had a huge side effect. After consumption, there would be a month of weakness. Of the 3 Yuan burst pills, Nye Wenyuan kept 1 for himself, and the remaining 2 were given to the 2 strongest elders. After giving these instructions, Nye Tian returned to his own room. He needed a good rest to prepare for the big battle tomorrow. At the same time, the Ba family's meeting hall. The one sitting on the main seat was not Ba Wuli, but the altar lord of the Bloodbat sect, Xiong Ba. Brother Ba, you've given birth to a good son. Ziliang is very good and can represent our branch altar to enter the headquarters. Xiong Ba looked at Ba Ziliang, who had just come out of seclusion, and laughed. Altar Lord is too kind. Ba Wuli bowed and replied, his face respectful. Ba Ziliang came out of seclusion, and his strength had reached the 5th level of the Origin Spirit Realm. His aura was much stronger, and he said, Lord Altar Lord, as long as you help my Ba family take down Moyang City, Ziliang will definitely head to the headquarters to win glory for the branch altar. Good. Xiong Ba laughed and said, just based on these words of yours, this altar lord will give you 2 gifts. They will definitely allow you to shine brilliantly in the martial gathering tomorrow and kill your way through. As Xiong Ba spoke, he slightly turned the time ring on his hand, and 2 items instantly appeared like magic. Chapter 37. Early the next morning, just as the sun rose, Moyang City's arena was already filled with people. Today was Moyang City's triennial martial gathering. Many people had arrived early to watch the battles. Moyang City's martial gathering was a competition between the younger generation of the major clans. The result of the competition would determine the ranking of the clans in Moyang City for the next 3 years. On the viewing platform, representatives of the major clans appeared one after another. Emotai sat on the most conspicuous seat of honor. Below him were the Ba clan's head, Ba Wuli, the Nye clan's head, Elder Nye Yuan, and the other clan heads of the major clans. Nye Tian was supposed to appear on the viewing platform as well, but he didn't want to waste time with the clan heads and elders, so he let Nye Wenyuan take his place. City Lord, the Moyang City's martial gathering is very lively this time. Who does the City Lord think will be the champion of this martial meet? Ba Wuli narrowed his eyes and glanced at Mo Tai with a trace of disdain. Normally, Ba Wuli wouldn't dare to show such an attitude in front of Mo Tai. But the situation was different now. After tonight, Moyang City's lord would change hands, and Ba Wuli couldn't hold back any longer. Mo Tai naturally understood what Ba Wuli was thinking, but he maintained a calm expression and said indifferently, I believe that the champion of this year's martial gathering will be the same as 3 years ago, Nye Tian of the Nye clan. City Lord overpraises me. Nye Wenyuan smiled. Oh, is that so? Ba Wuli sneered. I don't think so. A mere 9th level origin pulse trash wants to be the champion. What a joke. Yeah, I heard that the 2nd young master of the Ba clan, Ba Ziliang, has returned from training and is already at the 4th level of the Origin Spirit Realm. I wonder if the rumor is true. Ma clan head Ma Jingwu said, not hiding his flattery towards Ba Wuli at all. I think young Master Ba Ziliang is only 18. Already at the 4th level of the Origin Spirit Realm at such a young age, what a young genius. Looks like young Master Ba Ziliang is the true number 1 genius of Moyang City. Yang clan head Yang Wudi said. Now that the Ba clan was powerful, there were faint signs of it overshadowing the City Lord's mansion. These clan lords were all shrewd characters, and they would not let go of this opportunity to curry favor. Although the news of the Ba clan's eldest young master being crippled and the fact that the Ba clan had surrounded the Nye clan and retreated had spread like wildfire, everyone still believed that the Ba clan was very powerful, so powerful that even the city governor's mansion feared it. After all, Mo Tai had no children, and his only daughter had yet to awaken her primordial spirit. In the future, when Buzzyliang grows up, Moyang City will definitely have a new owner. Emotai looked at the Ma and Yang family heads and smiled faintly as he said, Buzzyliang is indeed at the 4th level origin spirit realm. His strength and talent are both very strong. However, Nietian is not as weak as Baklan's patriarch made him out to be. This city lord saw with his own eyes that Nietian defeated Buzzyliang in 3 moves. If Nietian is trash, then what is Buzzyliang? City Lord Wooly glared at Emotai and was actually about to get angry. Emotai, however, had a calm expression as he smiled coldly and said, when Buzzyliang was defeated, Baklan's patriarch was also present. Are you trying to deny it? Ba Wooly suppressed his anger and gritted his teeth as he said, that stinking brat was just lucky. Now that my son is already at the 5th level origin spirit realm, if he meets Nietian again, he will definitely be able to kill him. Let's hope so. Emotai chuckled, declining to comment. Emotai was very confident in Nietian. Even if Buzzyliang broke through to the 5th level origin spirit realm, he would definitely not be Nietian's match. However, Ba Wooly seemed to be very confident as well, with a confident look. He glanced at Emotai and laughed coldly in his heart. Emotai, just wait to watch a good show. The other family heads also did not speak anymore. Anyone could tell that there would be a battle between the Ba clan and the city governor's mansion sooner or later. However, they definitely would not have thought that this battle would arrive so soon. On the martial arena, all the preparations were ready. After Emotai said a few words as per usual, the martial meet officially began. Those who participated in the martial meet were all youngsters below the age of 20. In previous years, a 9th level origin meridian was already the peak strength. But this year was different because Buzzyliang, this 5th level origin spirit realm fellow, had appeared. And Nietian and Mo Rushi had also awakened their origin spirits, becoming essence spirit martial artists. The first match began. Very coincidentally, it was Nietian against a disciple of the Ma clan, Ma Yang. Ma Yang stepped onto the martial arena with a domineering look. Nietian also stepped onto the martial arena, but had a lazy attitude. The state of the two formed a stark contrast. Nietian's appearance immediately attracted everyone's attention. Recently, there had been many rumors regarding Nietian, crippling Ba Ziyang, defeating Buzzyliang, etc. But the majority of people only treated these as rumors. Very few people believed that it was true. After all, Nietian had already been a trash with his origin meridians completely destroyed for 3 years. No one would believe that a trash could suddenly rise up. On the viewing platform, several patriarchs could not help but discuss. Ma Yang, an outstanding talent of my Ma clan, already at the 8th level of origin meridian. Against someone who has been crippled for 3 years, it seems a bit like bullying. Ma clan patriarch Ma Jingwu was the first to speak, his tone filled with ridicule. Nie Wenyuan glanced at Ma Jingwu and sneered. Ma clan patriarch is making a good joke, but you'll soon know who's bullying who. Mr. Nye, it seems that your Nye clan is very dissatisfied. A trash patriarch. Do you still want to bully others? Yang clan patriarch Yang Wudi laughed. Nye Wenyuan snorted coldly and simply ignored this bunch of idiots. On the martial arena, Nye Tan, the former #1 genius of Moyang City, who had been a trash for 3 years. To think that there would be a day when you would stand on the martial arena. What a surprise. Ma Yang looked at Nye Tian the moment he stepped onto the stage and adopted a mocking attitude. Ma Yang, 20 years old, 8th level of origin meridian. I really don't understand. With such trash strength, where does your confidence come from? Nye Tian only glanced at Ma Yang and did not have the desire to look at him a second time. Facing such strength, Nye Tian could not bring up the slightest desire to fight. Nye Tian, do you think you're still the genius from 3 years ago? Ma Yang sneered and said, I see that you're a trash, so I'll let you make 3 moves first. After 3 moves, bang. Before Ma Yang could finish his sentence, a muffled sound rang out, and he fell off the martial arena, sprawled on the ground, unable to get up for a long time. No need for 3 moves. I only need you to let me make one move. Yet Tian smiled speechlessly, turned around, and jumped off the martial arena. Ma Yang laid on the ground, feeling that all the bones in his body were broken. He completely did not see clearly when Tian made his move and how he made his move. The few patriarchs on the spectators' stand were also stunned. Even they did not see Tian's move clearly. Wen Yuan laughed and said, "An outstanding talent of the Ma clan can't even take one move. You're really bullying people." Ma Jingwu's old face turned red, and his chest was blocked, unable to swallow nor spit out. "You're just a piece of trash at the 8th level of Origin Meridian. Are you proud of yourself?" Ba Wooly mocked. Wen Yuan smiled faintly and said, "Then let's wait until our patriarch defeats the second young master of the Ba clan, whose surname isn't Ba." Ba Wooly's eyes turned cold, and he roared in his heart, "Wen Yuan, after tonight, I'll make you kneel before me and admit your mistake." Tian defeating Ma Yang in one move had caused quite a commotion. Only now did people know that the rumors about Tian were true. The trash patriarch of the Nye clan had really risen. Looking at Tian from afar, Ba Ziliang's eyes were filled with boundless anger, and he sneered in his heart, "Tian, I'll torture you to death with my own hands, and let the people of Moyang City see who the true #1 genius is." Tian had no interest in the following matches. They were all fights between Origin Meridian practitioners, and they held no attraction for him. This continued until Ba Ziliang's figure appeared in the dueling ring. Unfortunately, Ba Ziliang's opponent was a Nye clan cultivator, Nye Shan. Nye Shan was 19 years old, and at the 7th level of Origin Meridian. Tian, I'll make you watch the death of a Nye clan practitioner." Ba Ziliang did not even look at Nye Shan, and instead roared at Tian, who was below the arena. Tian furrowed his brows slightly. "Ba Ziliang, what are you trying to do?" Feeling the chilling, killing intent, Nye Shan's face turned pale. "Die." Ba Ziliang did not give Nye Shan any chance. With a palm strike, a sharp sword aura shot towards Nye Shan. Pooh! The sword aura swept past, and Nye Shan's chest was directly pierced, and he died on the spot. "Huh! This is a practitioner of the Nye clan? Can't even withstand a single blow." Ba Ziliang laughed maniacally and walked off the arena with a proud expression. "Bastard!" Tian growled, and his eyes flashed with killing intent. At this moment, Ba Ziliang had become a dead man in Tian's eyes. All practitioners of the Nye clan withdraw from the martial gathering. Tian made a prompt decision and ordered all the practitioners of the Nye clan to withdraw from the martial gathering. This martial gathering was not important in the first place, and there was no need to increase the number of casualties. Tian alone was enough for the Nye clan. The Nye clan did not dare to disobey Tian's orders, and all withdrew from the martial gathering. All practitioners of the Ba clan withdraw from the martial gathering. Facing Tian's actions, Ba Ziliang chose to go tit for tat. Ba Ziliang also knew that this martial gathering was meaningless, and the only meaningful thing was the battle between him and Tian. So there was no need for the practitioners of the Ba clan to continue participating in the competition. The Nye and Ba clan's practitioners withdrew from the competition at the same time, and the remaining practitioners were less than half. The following battles were even simpler and more violent. Everyone who fought with Ba Ziliang were all killed in one move, and Tian's opponents were all defeated in one move. This martial gathering had practically become Tian and Ba Ziliang's individual show. In less than an hour, the top 4 of the martial gathering were decided: Tian, Ba Ziliang, Mo Rushi, and Ma Gang. Among the 4, other than Ma Gang, the other 3 were essence spirit martial artists. Ma Gang was able to enter the top 4, not because he was strong, but because he was lucky and did not meet Tian and the other 2. The top 4 finals began. The first match, Tian against Mo Rushi. I admit defeat. Before Tian had even stepped onto the stage, Mo Rushi's voice had already sounded out. I admit defeat. Mo Rushi admitted defeat, and the entire audience went into an uproar. Mo Rushi's performance in the martial gathering was not inferior to Nye Tian's, and everyone thought that there would be an exciting battle between the two. Chapter 38. Mo Rushi chose to concede because she did not want to exhaust Nye Tian's essence energy. The battle between Nye Tian and Ba Ziliang was definitely going to be a tough one. Ba Ziliang was very strong, and Mo Rushi admitted that she was not his match, so she placed her hopes on Nye Tian. Don't worry, he'll definitely die. Nye Tian smiled faintly, his tone very resolute. Next, Ma Gang met Ba Ziliang, and as expected, he directly conceded. Ma Gang's path to the top four was originally more due to luck than strength. His concession was also within expectations and did not cause any commotion. Mo Rushi and Ma Gang both conceded, and the battle between Nye Tian and Ba Ziliang was brought forward. Nye Tian, get your ass up here and die. Ba Ziliang was the first to step onto the arena, pointing angrily at Nye Tian. He had long been itching for this battle, courting death. Nye Tian's figure moved, and with a strange movement technique, he appeared on the arena. Nye Tian had similarly been waiting for this battle for a long time. The two had yet to officially start fighting, but the smell of gunpowder was already thick, causing the audience below to discuss. The final battle of the martial gathering is finally about to begin. I wonder who will emerge as the champion. It'll definitely be young Master Ba Ziliang crushing Nye Tian. Nye Tian has been a cripple for 3 years, and suddenly rose up strangely. He must have had some fortuitous encounter. But Ba Ziliang has already reached the 5th level of the Origin Spirit Realm. None of his opponents could last a single move, and they were all insta-killed. I reckon that even Nye Tian can't last a single move. I think so too. Nye Tian has been delayed for 3 years after all. No matter how heaven-defying his talent is, it's impossible for him to turn the tide. In the end, he'll only be a laughingstock. One had to admit that Nye Tian did not have a heaven-defying performance on the arena. Although everyone admitted that he had strength, they still felt that he had no chance of defeating Ba Ziliang. On the viewing platform, Ba Wuli smiled sinisterly and said, I didn't expect that trash Nye Tian would actually awaken his Yuan spirit. No wonder City Lord Mo is so confident in him. Mo Tai smiled faintly and replied, Clan Head Ba, you keep calling him trash, but don't forget that this trash crippled your eldest son and defeated your second son. Moreover, your idiotic third son is also thanks to Nye Tian. If Nye Tian is trash, then aren't your 3 sons even worse than trash? Mo Tai, having a scar poked, Ba Wuli stood up and glared at Mo Tai furiously. Nye Wenyuan laughed heartily and said, What's the matter, Patriarch Ba? Do you know the pain now that the scar has been opened? If you knew this would happen, you wouldn't have humiliated others. Patriarch Ba, don't be angry. The other patriarchs tried to calm him down. Ba Wuli sat back down and roared in his heart. Mo Tai, Nye Wenyuan, I'll let you be arrogant for a while longer. After tonight, I'll make you kneel on the ground and beg me. Mo Tai and Nye Wenyuan both knew what Ba Wuli was thinking and chose to ignore him. The other patriarchs were still in the dark and didn't know what was going on. Gradually, the crowd quietened down and countless pairs of eyes stared at the stage. Nye Tian and Ba Ziliang stood opposite each other, less than 5 meters apart, staring at each other angrily. Nye Tian, I have to admit that your strength has exceeded my expectations. However, you're no longer the #1 genius of Moyang City 3 years ago, and I'm no longer the same as I was 3 years ago. Right now, the difference between us is like the difference between heaven and earth. It's impossible for you to defeat me. Ba Ziliang didn't rush to make a move and said coldly, Difference between heaven and earth? Nye Tian smiled playfully and said, Young Master Ba seems to have a bad memory. About 10 days ago, I only used 3 moves to knock someone to the ground. If we were really that different, that day it would have been me and not you. Nye Tian's tone was filled with great confidence. Nye Tian, you're overconfident. Ba Ziliang was immediately enraged when his scar was exposed. Buzz! A sword cry resounded, and the blazing flame, Sword Yuan's spirit appeared. Ba Ziliang was furious. His figure moved at an extremely fast speed. Like a gust of wind, he attacked Niet Tian in an instant. Blazing Flame Chop. The blazing flame sword whistled out with a terrifying red sword light, piercing towards Niet Tian. This was the first time Ba Ziliang used his Yuan spirit on the stage, and it was a killing move right from the start. Obviously, he was determined to kill Niet Tian in one strike. He hated Niet Tian too much. He was gnashing his teeth. War God Imperial Fist. Upon seeing this, Niet Tian didn't hesitate to use the moves of the War God incantation. Boom! A powerful punch was thrown out, and a golden fist shadow appeared in the air. Bang! The sword light and the fist shadow collided, and a loud explosion occurred. How is this possible? Ba Ziliang immediately felt his palm go numb. The blazing flame, sword Yuan spirit disappeared with a flash. Retreating several steps, Ba Ziliang stabilized his body. Looking at his wrist again, a bloodstain actually appeared between his thumb and forefinger. Your strength! How is this possible? Ba Ziliang had a dumbfounded look. His gaze when looking at Niet Tian flickered with fear. The power of this punch of Niet Tian's was too horrifying. Not only did it block Ba Ziliang's fatal sword strike, it even injured Ba Ziliang. The power of this punch was at least 30,000 caddies. 30,000 caddies. How is this possible? Niet Tian was only at the second level essence spirit realm. Normally speaking, very talented martial artists had the possibility of reaching 10,000 caddies when they were at the 5th level essence spirit realm. But someone like Niet Tian who could erupt with 30,000 caddies of power at the 2nd level essence spirit realm was seriously horrifying. A portion of Niet Tian's strength came from the 9 essence meridians, but the majority of the power came from the 10th essence meridian stellar power. At this moment, he had awakened the power of 6 stars. Each star's power could bring him a tremendous increase in strength. In addition, the 9 extremes war god art that Niet Tian cultivated was a super heaven-tier martial art. It was not strange for him to be able to erupt with 30,000 caddies of power. Niet Tian's first punch caused everyone present to be collectively stunned, as if they were petrified. Facing the blazing flame, sword essence spirit head-on, Niet Tian's physical strength definitely exceeds 20,000 caddies. The power that erupted from that punch earlier was even 30,000 caddies. Niet Tian only has 2nd level essence spirit realm strength. Could it be that his body is forged from iron? Mo Tai could not recover his senses for a moment. Even though he knew that Niet Tian's strength was heaven-defying, he did not think that it was actually heaven-defying to this extent. My God, my Nie family is really going to produce a major character. Nie Wenyuan was also very agitated as he cried out in his heart. Ba Wuli's face was slightly pale, but he immediately thought of something and became very calm again. After a moment, whispers broke out below the stage. Niet Tian actually injured Ba Ziliang with a single punch. That's too monstrous. Niet Tian's talent has returned. Ba Ziliang is going to lose. Ba Ziliang can't even take a single punch from Niet Tian. Too weak. Are you sure that his strength is only at the 5th level essence spirit realm? Hearing the discussions below, Ba Ziliang's face was so dark that it was almost dripping blood. He roared angrily. The competition is not over yet. All of you shut up. Niet Tian smiled faintly and said, the competition is not over yet. But now, it's my turn to make a move. War God Heaven Slash. Taking a step forward, Niet Tian used his full strength. His speed was extremely fast, as if every step could bring along the aura of heaven and earth. The sword Absolute Heaven Slash appeared again. Niet Tian's sword slashed downwards, and the shocking sword light condensed into a majestic sword shadow, pressing towards Ba Ziliang. Niet Tian didn't want to waste any time on Ba Ziliang. Ba Ziliang was just a trash, and it was better to get rid of him as soon as possible. Blazing Sky. Niet Tian's attack was extremely fierce. Ba Ziliang wasn't to be outdone, and the Blazing Sky sword appeared once again, meeting Niet Tian's attack head-on. A sword hum resounded, and a scarlet fiery radiance soared into the sky. It turned into a blazing pillar of fire that shot towards Nietion. Boom! In the collision of their ultimate moves, the war god Heaven Slash was clearly superior. A terrifying sword shadow shot towards Ba Ziliang's chest. Bang! A muffled sound rang out, and Ba Ziliang was sent flying. He landed heavily on the ground, and the entire stage trembled. This scene caused the entire stage to fall into a deathly silence. No one expected Nietion's broken sword to be so powerful. If the broken sword in his hand was replaced with a real spiritual weapon, how powerful would it be? Ziliang. Seeing Ba Ziliang being defeated, Ba Wuli stood up and roared. Emo Tai, Nya Wenyuan, and the rest stood up as well. He's not dead. Could it be that my war, God Heaven Slash, isn't powerful enough? On the stage, Nietion couldn't help but frown when he sensed that Ba Ziliang's aura was still present. According to his current strength, the war god Heaven Slash should be enough to kill Ba Ziliang. Why was Ba Ziliang's aura still present? Nietion, it won't be that easy for you to kill me. Ba Ziliang stood up abruptly. Not only was he not dead, he wasn't even heavily injured. Protective armor. Nietion saw the black armor on Ba Ziliang's torn clothes and immediately understood. He smiled. You're actually wearing a second-level protective armor. No wonder the war, God Heaven Slash, can't kill you. A second-level protective armor could negate a large portion of an Essence Spirit Expert's attack. Nietion's strength was only at the second level of the Essence Spirit Realm. Even if the war, God Heaven Slash, was extremely powerful, it would still be hard for it to injure Ba Ziliang when it landed on a second-level protective armor. Protective armor. This was one of the two gifts that Bloodbat Sect's Altar Lord Xiongba had given Ba Ziliang. The two gifts that Xiongba had given Ba Ziliang were to ensure that he could obtain victory in the duel. Ba Ziliang was going to represent the 36th branch to enter the headquarters. Xiongba naturally did not wish for any accidents to happen to him. Ba Ziliang stood up once again. The crowd let out a long breath. They were looking forward to an exciting battle and were not willing to see Ba Ziliang die just like this. He's actually wearing armor to duel? Shameless. When Mo Rushi saw this scene, her pretty face was enraged. So what if he's wearing armor? If he has the capabilities, let Nietion wear one too. A Ba family martial artist shouted smugly. Nietion shook his head with a bitter smile and said, wearing armor, although it's a little shameless, it's not considered breaking the rules. But this doesn't change the outcome in the slightest. You're too arrogant. Ba Ziliang roared angrily. The blazing flame, sword origin spirit attacked once again. This time, his attacks were even more violent, practically disregarding everything. Puff, puff, puff. The blazing flame, sword origin spirit stabbed out 3 times in a row. 3 streaks of sword light were practically released at the same time, stabbing towards Nietion. Nietion became cold to the extreme. His feet executed the strange great swan wakaba steps, easily dodging the 3 streaks of sword light. The next instant, he actually directly appeared beside Ba Ziliang. The two people were practically face to face, only inches apart. Prepare to die. Nietion reached out his hand, striking a palm on Ba Ziliang's chest. Bam! A massive force suddenly erupted. Ba Ziliang's body tilted sideways, and he was actually directly pressed on the ground by Nietion. Although Nietion's strength was only at the second-level origin spirit realm, his physical strength surpassed Ba Ziliang's. Once the two of them got close, Ba Ziliang would not have any strength to retaliate at all. Chapter 39. Seeing Ba Ziliang being pressed to the ground by Nietion, everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. Nietion's physical strength was too terrifying, even more freakish than a 9th-level origin spirit martial artist. Ziliang. Ba Wuli on the viewing platform was about to lose control as he roared again. Mo Tai and Nya Wenyuan also became nervous. If Ba Wuli dared to make any strange movements, the two of them did not mind killing him on the spot. On the stage, Ba Ziliang was pressed down by Nietion's large hand. his breathing gradually becoming ragged. If Nyetian still did not let go, Ba Ziliang would very quickly suffocate to death. Ba Ziliang's face flushed red. All the essence energy in his body suddenly surged out strangely, his face revealing a sinister smile. "En, you want to die with me?" Nie Tian immediately sensed that Ba Ziliang actually wanted to self-detonate, intending to die with him. Bam! Suddenly slapping down with a palm, Nie Tian's body retreated 5 to 6 meters, rapidly pulling away from Ba Ziliang. If Ba Ziliang's self-detonation succeeded, even if Nie Tian did not die, he would be heavily injured. The huge pressure on his chest suddenly disappeared. Ba Ziliang immediately recovered, all the blood in his body actually surging back into his body. He struggled to climb up, smiling sinisterly. Nie Tian, you are also very afraid of death? Nie Tian smiled faintly and said, Ba Ziliang, you are ruthless enough, actually wanting to detonate your own blood. If you want to die, this patriarch will not accompany you. Fighting with trash like you to the point of both sides suffering heavy injuries. Isn't that too stupid? Ba Ziliang's face was shrouded in coldness, his whole body surging with endless killing intent as he smiled sinisterly. Nie Tian, do you think you are very smart now? After Ba Ziliang finished speaking, a red spirit pill actually appeared in his hand. He raised his head and directly swallowed it. Exploding Yuan pill. Nie Tian was shocked. He was all too familiar with the aura of this spirit pill. It was precisely the exploding Yuan pill he had just refined yesterday. However, the exploding Yuan pill in Ba Ziliang's hand was clearly refined in a different pill room, but the effect was similar, temporarily increasing the martial artist's strength. Explosive Yuan pill. This was the second gift that Bloodbat Sect's Altar Master Xiong Ba gave Ba Ziliang. Consuming the explosive Yuan pill, the aura in Ba Ziliang's entire body skyrocketed. In a blink of an eye, he actually already reached 7th level Origin Spirit Realm strength. The explosive Yuan pill allowed his strength to increase by 2 levels. Right now, Ba Ziliang's entire body was emitting a formidable aura. Even his hair was about to stand on end. What's going on? Why did Ba Ziliang's aura increase so much? Many people below the stage didn't know what was happening, and they all revealed expressions of horror. Ba Ziliang actually consumed the burst Yuan pill. In the spectator stands, Emotai noticed something and immediately stood up. Ba Wooly sneered. City Lord Emo is quite knowledgeable to know about the explosive Yuan pill. After my son consumed the explosive Yuan pill, his strength increased by 2 levels. Let's see how Nie Tian is going to resist. When Yuan and the other patriarchs heard Ba Wooly's words, they were stunned. They didn't expect the Ba family to be able to take out the explosive Yuan pill. Emotai glared fiercely at Ba Wooly. In his heart, he knew that Ba Ziliang's explosive Yuan pill definitely came from the Bloodbat sect. Since things had already come to this, Emotai couldn't possibly openly stop the duel. He could only hope that Nie Tian still had more strength left in him. Nie Tian was indeed holding back his strength, and a lot of it, but he didn't intend to use it on Ba Ziliang. Even if Ba Ziliang used the explosive Yuan pill, Nie Tian still didn't put the former in his eyes. Swish! Ba Ziliang's face was ferocious as he stabbed out with his sword. The sword's aura was much sharper than before, and the sword light was even brighter. Just this kind of aura pressure wasn't something that an ordinary essence spirit martial artist could withstand. Blazing flame, Ba Ziliang roared, and the long sword in his hand spewed out scarlet flames. It was like a fire dragon, and it completely enveloped a radius of 3 feet around Ba Ziliang. You're burning your blood chi again? You're really ruthless to yourself. Yeah, Tianling frowned coldly. Ba Ziliang not only used the explosive Yuan pill, but also burned his own blood chi. Even if Nie Tian didn't make a move now, when the medicinal effects of the explosive Yuan pill wore off, Ba Ziliang would definitely be severely injured. Less nonsense, Dai. Ba Ziliang roared coldly, and the raging sword light wreaked havoc, rushing towards Nie Tian like a waterfall. Just an ant, and you want to kill me. The corner of Nietion's mouth curled up, and he took a deep breath at the same time. The essence energy in his body surged, and his figure instantly became more agile. Ooh! Nietion's figure moved like a leaf in the wind. As he floated, he actually found a gap in the endless firelight, and with a flash, he dodged Ba Ziliang's fatal blow. How is this possible? Ba Ziliang exclaimed, shock and fear appearing on his face. Bang! In the next moment, Nietion seized the opportunity and punched out. Ba Ziliang's figure flew out again, and he crashed heavily. What an exquisite footwork! Like a swimming dragon, like a graceful swan. On the spectator platform, Emotai couldn't help but stand up and applaud. Niao Yuan was extremely excited as well. His face was contorted, and he was about to cry. In the past, when Nietion used the Great Swan Steps, it was always in the blink of an eye, and no one could see the exquisiteness of the footwork. But this time, he practically displayed the exquisiteness of the Great Swan Steps to the limit, so Emotai and Niao Yuan could see some clues. The spectators below the platform were even more stunned. They saw Ba Ziliang launch a shocking attack, but they didn't expect that he would be knocked down by Nietion instead. It was too strange. On the competition platform, Ba Ziliang crawled up again, and he violently spat out a mouthful of blood. Even though Ba Ziliang was wearing armor, he was still injured by a punch from Nietion. After being knocked down several times by Nietion, the rage in Ba Ziliang's heart rose to the peak. Nietion, today either you die or I die. With a deep roar, Ba Ziliang's aura skyrocketed once again, and the surrounding air was filled with the smell of blood. Ba Ziliang ignited his blood once again. This time, he was putting his life on the line. Even if he died, he wanted to drag Nietion down with him. The crimson sword ray on the blazing flame sword Yuan's spirit had a hint of blood, and the surging flames made Ba Ziliang look extremely crazy. Is he going to risk his life? Sensing the change in Ba Ziliang's aura, Nietion frowned slightly. Obviously, Ba Ziliang was going to stake everything on this one throw. Everyone held their breaths, and the stuffy air made the scene even more deathly silent. The spectators on the spectator platform all stood up. Everyone was clear that the next move was not the move to decide the victor, but the move to decide life and death. Nietion looked at the crazed Ba Ziliang, and there was no fear on his face. He only smiled bitterly and said softly, "Seems like I have no choice but to use my astral soul." Against Ba Ziliang, Nietion didn't even use his full strength. He didn't use the 3 seals of the war god, nor did he use the explosive Yuan pill. He didn't even use his astral soul. Originally, these things were used to deal with the people of the Bloodbath sect, but now it seemed that he had to use an astral soul. At this moment, Nietion had 2 astral souls, Heavenly Wolf Slaughter and 7-layered waves. The current him needed a few days to inscribe an astral soul, so he cherished the usage of astral souls. I'll use the Heavenly Wolf Slaughter astral soul. After thinking for a while, Nietion decided to use the slightly weaker Heavenly Wolf Slaughter astral soul. The reason why the Heavenly Wolf Slaughter astral soul was said to be weaker was because Nietion had spent more time and mental energy to inscribe the 7-layered waves astral soul. Ba Ziliang's aura rose to the peak, and the smell of blood in the air became even heavier. Nietion died. A brutal roar rang out, and endless flames gushed out from Ba Ziliang's body. Like a river bursting its banks, it rushed towards Nietion. This level of attack, even if Nietion had the Great Leaf Soaring Steps, it would be impossible to dodge. In an instant, the entire stage turned into a sea of fire. The spectators couldn't withstand the scorching heat and retreated one after another. Nietion. Facing such a scene, Emo Rushi's face paled as she involuntarily called out. All along, she had always been very confident in Nietion, but when she felt the terror of the sea of fire, she couldn't help but worry for Nietion. In the midst of the sea of fire, Nietion's countenance was calm. Drawing in a deep breath, the primal chaos origin coffin in his body sensed something, and the Heavenly Wolf Slaughter astral soul violently gushed out. Instantly, a terrifying energy spread out, and a shadow of a giant wolf appeared around Nyetan, enveloping him in a radius of several meters, allowing him to be unafraid of the scorching heat. Ba Ziliang, I really want to see how much blood and chi you have left. Nye Tianling laughed. He was waiting for an opportunity, waiting for the moment when Ba Ziliang's aura was at its weakest. In just a few seconds, Ba Ziliang could no longer hold on, and the blood and chi in his body were almost completely burnt out. Blood and chi was the life force of a cultivator. Without blood and chi, a cultivator wouldn't be far from death. Now's the time. Sensing that Ba Ziliang's aura suddenly weakened, Nye Tian's silhouette flickered, and the shadow of the heavenly wolf left his body. Like a flood dragon coming out of the abyss, it charged towards Ba Ziliang. Bang! A loud explosion rang out. Everyone saw the shadow of a giant wolf slamming into Ba Ziliang's body. Ba Ziliang's body was sent flying out of the battle stage. Instantly, blood splattered in the air, and blood and chi filled the air. Bang! With a heavy sound, Ba Ziliang slammed into the ground below the battle stage, and his body rolled for over 10 meters. On the ground, a bloody mark appeared, and the smell of blood was glaring, causing people to shiver. Ba Ziliang died on the spot, and he didn't even have the chance to scream. His face was filled with regret, fear, and despair. Everyone looked at Ba Ziliang's corpse and the glaring bloodstain. They felt a chill run down their spines, and a chill ran down their spines. The incomparably arrogant and insufferably arrogant Ba Ziliang was dead, and he died in such a straightforward and miserable manner. Nye Tian won. After a long, long time, everyone's eyes were on Nye Tian. The shock in their eyes showed the shock in their hearts. The #1 genius of Moyang City 3 years ago, after being a cripple for 3 years, he had finally risen again. Ziliang. At this moment, a hysterical roar rang out. Ba Wu Li's hair stood on end, and he was enraged. Like an enraged lion, his entire body's aura was released. His beloved son was killed, and the moment Ba Wu Li reacted, he completely lost his mind. Ba Ziliang, his genius son, the pride of the Ba clan, was killed right in front of his eyes. Such an outcome, Ba Wu Li could not accept.